you guys got a lot of stuff going on, man. That's cool.
Oh man,
Dope.
it's a whole thing over here. It's a whole thing.
Right on.
And,
Word.
and the fun part is that I have to do it all myself. So right now I'm actually,
Wow.
but you know what? I like it. I like the idea of controlling all the aspects of it. Because
Yeah.
if you have to depend on other people, you know how band situations go. I'm sorry, I don't mean to not look at you, man. I'm trying to fix
Well, that's
some.
cool. I see. It's good. It's good.
I'm
It's
over
all
here.
good.
I'm over here just trying to make sure we got stuff. Gail, welcome, welcome,
Right on.
welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, you know how it is in a band. You got to rely on other people, and then if they don't show up, then are we doing the
Right.
gig? So when
Nothing gets done unless you do it yourself.
thank you,
Most of the
thank
time,
you, thank you.
that's
Most of the
and
time, exactly.
that's some old school stuff.
Yeah,
Old school, but it still works after hundreds of years.
for sure, for sure. Hey,
You know.
James, do you have the stream on in the background? Do you mind muting that? Just because I'm.
Actually, no, yeah. I'm sorry.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
actually playing. Well,
It's all
it's
good.
music, but I
Oh,
can
I
turn
see.
it off though.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm just hearing feedback and stuff, and it's throwing me off. If you need music on, please be comfortable. I
No,
don't
no, no,
mind.
no, no, no. I have my own list, which I'm going to send you.
Oh, please
I
do, please do.
have a
Just
couple of lists. I have a couple of lists, and you named. I love the list of artists that you were talking about playing.
oh
Because
yeah,
I Uncle JBJ. I have I have some very interesting. You said Al Green, and you said I am like kind of like a Quincy Jones, you know, type drummer and musician because I play all styles,
yeah.
from jazz, bebop to hard rock to funk to, you name it. I've played it since I was a child because of my upbringing and my teachings from well, it was God given ability, but my mother and father were musicians way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, yeah,
Way,
man. I
way
mean,
back.
that was one of the things I was gonna say. I mean, because you go from Chuck Mangione and you're going to Beastie Boys, and and then Crazy Town. Those are very different styles of music, but you handle it
Oh,
very
yeah.
well. What was the? Did you intend to become a versatile player, or is that just something that happened because you were just in that scene? You were just playing.
Well, no, I mean, no, because in different periods of my life, growing up, I mean, there were different styles and music. I think in the beginning when I was 4 years old, like that we're talking about 1962. I mean, I remember the first time I was on TV at the time too, but every Sunday we would watch the Ed Sullivan Show, which I've been rumored to have been on, but never got on there because I got bumped by the Beatles, their
Ugh,
first performance. But I
assholes.
saw the Beatles. Check this out. I saw the Beatles when I was 4 years old, and it's just like the scene in Poltergeist when the little girl walks up to the TV. She's like, "They're back." Well, I walked up and I said, "Mom, who are these guys?" I was like, my mouth was wide open. I was floored. I was floored.
Yeah.
When I saw them, and then that led to seeing. Then they had like he was really versatile. He had like the Motown artists from Detroit, Temptations, and James Brown was on. The next week he had the Rolling Stones, their first appearance,
Yeah.
and Ray Charles, and we had all this music, all this, you know, these like legends, like performing, and we're watching them on TV, and I was on TV, myself as a 4 year old,
Right. Yeah.
4 year
You're a
old drummer,
child. Hey,
so
well, let's get into
my
that.
parents were musicians, so I.
Yeah, let's get into that because at the beginning of the show here, we showed a little clip of Jack Benny. But first, I feel like we don't close the chapter on this book. I just feel like we're not ready. But the
Okay.
versatility in playing, is that something that just came over your career, or is that something that you started out like, I need to be good at jazz, I need to be good at
No, I
rock and
didn't
roll?
say no. No, absolutely not. Like I said, my roots are in jazz. My mother played piano and
Mm,
sing. She was a blues and jazz pianist,
yeah.
and she had toured with. She was in high school with two jazz legends who are no longer with us: Art Farmer,
Mm,
flugelhorn player, and Howard Roberts, white blind jazz guitarist, and they were in high school together,
Oh, nice.
growing up in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. So when she met my dad on the road at that time on tour, she was touring with the old Amos and Andy. Uh, yeah, they used to go
Whoa.
on tour back in the day, you know.
Whoa, wait, wait,
So
wait. So Amos and Andy would bring actual black people with them to be and
well,
I,
they were well, not well. The first one was a copy, you know, but the original. They used to have a TV show.
right,
The original Amos and Andy on TV,
but they
but
were
they used to tour. They were a touring group also.
oh,
They
okay.
had the television show, but they used to go out on the road and play theaters and do the same type skits, you know, theater style. You know,
Mhm.
my mom was playing piano in the tour in the band. You know,
Yeah.
she toured with them. She met my father, who is a singer. He played trap drums, a cocktail drum, you know, where you
Mhm.
kind of stand up and play with brushes,
Right. I got you.
and he had his own vocal group called the Ebonairs, and they were like wasn't quite doo wop. It was right before the doo wop scene. So we're talking about like the Mills Brothers or the Ink Spots. They were like, you
Mm.
know, those type bands.
Okay.
And but he was playing, doing shows with the late great Red Fox
Oh god.
and Dean Martin.
Wonderful.
And I need to tell the kids and some the people out there that he appeared in Frank Sinatra's first movie, which was like a B movie
Oh,
before he actually blew up. It was a movie called Meet Danny Wilson. Check it out. It's on YouTube. But there's one
okay.
scene where Frank is leaving the airport. You know, this has got like the late 50s, I believe, and he sees these four black guys. You know, they were like the porters. You know, they take the luggage. You know,
Yeah.
and he stopped he stopped it. You know, back in those days, you know, they had music in the movies, you know, like a musical type thing.
Right.
He stopped and he sang a number with them, and one of the guys was my dad, you know,
Oh, nice.
and they did a song together, you know. And then he was touring with his own band, and he met my mom, and that's they got married, and they had me, you know.
Out comes James. Well, I was,
So
I was
yeah,
just curious, and I'm not trying to turn this into a race conversation, but but Amos and Andy were famously they wore blackface, correct? Or am I
yeah,
wrong?
yeah. We had the first. But I don't know if I don't know. That's what we need to check out if they were the first. If they were the first, yeah, they were white and in blackface.
Exactly.
Yes.
And okay, so
But I
then
don't know. Yeah,
please.
I don't know where they got the concept from, or how that
Well,
happened. But that's something to look into.
they
you know,
saw talent in another race and they took advantage of it.
right.
That's what they saw.
quite
And
quite possibly, yeah.
quite, you're right. You're
But
right.
you should check it out though. I
I
mean,
do
I
want to
need
check
to
it out.
check it out myself because it's been a long. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
years since I've seen it myself. But I remember as a small kid watching that on
Yeah,
TV.
well, my
You
dad
know,
was huge into these kinds of things. Like my dad was really big into those old TV shows. Like, you remember Nick at Night? I think it's still around, but like,
yeah, Nick at Night. Yeah,
yeah,
but
Nick at
we can
Night.
go back further than that.
Well,
I
yeah, I
remember
know.
shows that I used to watch.
Nick and Night, yeah, right. Well, Nick and Night was for me when my dad was kind of reintroducing these shows to me because he would be probably a little bit older than you right now.
Right.
But he brought all that stuff. He ingrained just all that old stuff in my head. So when you say Amos
That's great.
Andy, when you say Jack Benny, when you're saying
I'm,
Ed
I'm glad.
Sullivan,
Yeah, it's good that you. Yeah,
my dad shoved that stuff into my brain growing up. So
you've
it's
been well schooled.
well, yeah, I like to I like to say so, and
Yeah.
so when I saw that Jack Benny footage, I was just blown away. I was just so excited about it because I know who
Yeah.
Jack Benny is. I know who Nat King Cole is. So let's
Right.
get into sort of your youth and as a child. Can you kind of explain your experience with
Yeah,
going on
I'll
the Jack
explain to
Benny?
you. Yeah, what happened? Yeah, what happened was when I was about 16 months old. I used to. My mother noticed. I'd wake up in the morning and she she always had the radio on all the time. Music was always on, you know. And one of the channels I was listening to that they listened to was really cool. It was a top 40 radio show out of Los Angeles called what was the name? Oh shit! It's I just had a blank right now.
That's okay.
Um,
It's all good, man.
it was a top 40 radio station.
Hmm.
I jumped to a 70s radio station in my mind, but that's why I forgot it. But
It's all
it's
good.
called, no, yeah, KHJ.
Okay.
And they used to play the Beatles, anything from the Beatles, the English rock, which I call the first British invasion,
Hmm.
with Rolling Stones or the Beach Boys. They were from LA, I mean, Long Beach, James Brown, and the Motown, of course, Motowns. And so I had this wide range of pop, you know, cultural like crossings, the blend of the two different types of genre,
Hmm.
playing. But the thing that was really strange, I used to play. I don't know how I got a hold of them, but two pencils that you write with, I would be standing up in the crib and playing on the side of the crib, playing actual beats in perfect time to whatever song was on.
Right. Wow.
And my mother, like, she was like, "Wow, what is this? What's going on here?" And then, like, one day she took me out of the crib, and I crawled on the floor into the kitchen, and I started going in the cupboard and start pulling out pots and pans and laying them on the floor, setting them up like a drum set and
Hmm.
playing them like a drum set. So this was all happening, and she was like, "What the?" And then she finally, like, for my third birthday, they got me a toy drum kit, and I tore it up in like 2 days. I banged it, played it so hard, I blew it up in 2 days.
I mean,
And I told my father, I told him, I was able to talk then, three and a half, 4 years old. I said, I want to have a real drum set, and I started naming the drums, like the exact drums. Like I want a snare drum, I want a hi hat, and I want, you know, and they were like, what's. So they got me a real kit, and I was too short to sit down and play, so I used to stand up and play.
hmm.
And I started playing, in the living room, practicing with my mother. She was teaching me all the jazz standards,
Hmm.
at the time, a lot of Duke Ellington songs and, you know, some jazz, basically jazz. It was all jazz, some rock and roll. When I saw, and the more I listened to popular music on the radio, I got familiar with. And then like I said, told you before, I used to watch Ed Sullivan every Sunday and saw the Beatles. And then so that was my rock thing, Chuck Berry and Little Richard and James Brown and, the Beatles, Rolling Stones. One of my favorite bands from England at that time too. They came, the Yardbirds,
Hmm.
Yardbirds,
Yeah,
and that
Yardbirds.
was a group that Eric Clapton started in that band. He came from another band, but he joined that band. Actually, three of the greatest rock guitarists that ever lived
Right.
came out of that band: Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and
Heck.
Eric Clapton.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I was really, floored by them. So then, what happened was how I got my break, and it's just like a classic Hollywood movie. My mother and father were a duet, a husband and wife team. So my mom played piano, my dad played the cocktail drum and
Oh.
with brushes and sang. He was a singer, but
Yeah.
but they played together, and they were doing the top 40 songs then. You know, Nat King Cole songs, whatever.
Hmm.
So they got invited to play a private party that was put on by this female boxing promoter.
Hmm.
She's a legend. Her name was Eileen Eaton, and she was in L.A. She used to promote the boxing matches at the L.A. Olympic Auditorium. So she was putting on a private party for this young boxer who just won the 1960 gold medal for America,
Hmm.
and his name was Cassius Clay at the time.
Hey.
And many youngins out there he became the great Muhammad
Muhammad
Ali.
Ali. That's
So they
right.
took me to this party. It was a black tie, and cocktails and hors d'oeuvres and all the whole nine.
Yeah.
And my mother asked my father, like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you?" And he told her, he said, "We should take Jimmy along. We should take Junior along and take the drums. And
Yeah.
she said, "What?" So they took him anyway. Well, I went with them, and they set the drums up, and they took a break. They took a pause. And she asked him, like, "What are you going to do now?" He says, "Well," he just said, "just turn him loose. Just let him go off. Play us the drum solo. So, people are eating, talking, drinking or whatever. It's quiet all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, this Gene Krupa type solo is going on. And people, like, they drop their forks, they, drop their glasses. And, they were sitting far away. They heard these drums, these rhythms coming, but they couldn't see. They heard where it was coming from, but they couldn't actually see the person playing. And they're like, what the hell is going on? They all stood up,
Yeah.
and they walked over to where the sound was, and they walked over, and there's this tiny little kid playing this set of drums, and they like, their mouths are like, wide open, like what the. And then the funny thing was that Muhammad came over, and I was doing it right in the middle of the solo, and he came over and picked me up. And he looked at me and said, "There's no way, kid, you're not going to steal the show from me." But I was crying, when he grabbed me, because that was one of the things. I mean, every time my parents used to have to, the way to make me stop playing was that, literally pick me up off the drums because I wouldn't stop.
Right.
So the great thing that happened was there was a guy there from an executive from Paramount Motion Pictures in Hollywood. And he walked up to my dad and said, the classic Hollywood thing, here's my card, call me in the morning, call me Monday morning, first thing Monday morning,
Yeah.
And he said, all right. So, he called and they said, look, we want to sign your son to a 26-week contract with Paramount Motion Pictures.
Wow.
TV, on TV, recordings, everything, a whole lot. And I signed that contract. And so that led me to getting the Jack Benny show. There was also I got a manager at that time, and then later on I got an acting agent. So for like 4 years I was on like the top TV shows from 1962 to 66. It was also Art Linkletter's show, Lawrence Welk show, Jack Benny show, I've Got a Secret, Truth or Consequences, Gary Moore show, the Hollywood Palace show. And then that led to me getting an agent, an acting agent. So they said, maybe you can act. So they had me go out for commercials and film as a child actor. And my biggest film that I appeared in was the American classic called Cool Hand Luke with the late great Paul Newman as a 7-year-old. And that's taking there's a whole new generation that knows about this now, which is amazing.
Right.
I think we just had our 50th anniversary maybe 7 years ago.
Wow.
So So that's how it started. My career started.
Wow, that's pretty insane. Like you're right about the whole. C Twitty is here. The lady.
Is she there?
Yeah, she's here. She said she's saying Nito. Hi, C Twitty. Thank you for being here, and thank you for.
Tell her Uncle JBJ. Uncle JBJ says hello, and
she can hear you. She's watching.
Oh, hey, Twitty.
Thank you.
Hey, little cuz.
C Twitty, not unbeknownst to her, put this together because we were just casually talking in one of these Twitch streams. And she's like, oh, yeah, I met the drummer for Crazy Town. And I was like, well, I'm going to go harass him and see if he'll be on my show. And I didn't mean to bring her name up, but you asked. And
no, it's cool. I'm so happy. I'm glad that she's, she popped in.
Yeah, me too. Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I hope someone else pops in and surprises me. I don't know.
You never know what's going to happen on this thing, man. Yeah, so then... Before we keep going, I don't want to miss out on this, and maybe we can kind of incorporate it on the timeline here. But when we were kind of talking beforehand, you were talking about you had a story about Toledo, Ohio.
Oh yeah. Wow, I think the last time that I remember, I remember the exact. It was New Year's Eve in 1980.
Okay.
Now I have cousins, I have relatives, and my younger brother lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan,
Okay. Yeah.
by the way. So it was while I was on, I was with Chuck Mangione from 1977. I joined him when I was 18 years old. From 1977 till April 1981, I was with him for 4 years.
Yeah.
But one in 1980, I was touring. I mean, those years I toured 8 months a year.
Yeah.
Uh, all year round. So I didn't get a chance to see. I mean, I would see most of my family members while I was on tour,
Right.
coming to whatever town, and they would come see.
Yeah.
But I said, wow, I need this. My brother grew up in LA with me.
Mm-hmm.
He's a year. We're 16 months apart, and he moved, or he was sent to live with his my father's sister at the time in Ann Arbor.
Hmm.
So he basically grew up from a teenager to an adult in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So
Wow.
this one year, I just said, you know what, I need to spend some time, with my brother,
Yeah.
because I would only see him a couple of times a year through touring. And I said, well, you know what, I think this might be cool. I said, you know what, I'm gonna spend New Year's Eve with him. I'm gonna come to Ann Arbor, and I don't know what I was thinking. My mother used to tell me, boy, you got a girl in every town. But I didn't have, I don't understand how this came about. I said, you know what? I got this crazy idea at the last minute because, he was really, really, like he was like, what can you call it? Like really crazy about limousine cars. So I rented a limousine and we drove to Toledo. And we went to I think it was a Ramada Inn or something.
There is
I
a
don't know, it's
Ramada
probably
in
something
here,
else.
or
Yeah, and I didn't even have. Normally, I have people all over America, all over the world now that I can go to town and kind of hang out, if I want to. But we went there, and we went to the bar there, and they had a because that in those days I used to go out dancing a lot. I love the
yeah.
discos and get funky, do
Yeah.
my
Why
thing. So
not meet some
we went
ladies?
there,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
we went there, and it turned out to be. I mean, it turned out to be kind of boring, actually.
Well, that's Toledo.
I mean, but it was great. But it was great. It was great being with my brother.
Of
It was
course.
really great hanging
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're like, we're gonna go to the big city to Toledo to party, and then it was just you guys drinking by yourself at some crappy Ramada Inn, like, oh well, Happy New Year's. But you're
Yeah,
right.
it was crazy. I mean,
Go ahead.
it's really crazy. I can't remember why. And usually when I would go to a town, at least I could call, one of my girlfriend acquaintances, and then they would take me around the town, but we didn't have anybody to take us anywhere. I don't,
He's like, we'll just check out Toledo, see how that the
So
first and last time
that
that
was my
James,
Toledo.
yeah, the first and last time that you came to Toledo, which it's fine.
First time, you know what? That wasn't Mike. That was not the first time. I
Oh,
actually came there. I played there with Mangione.
oh, nice.
I can't remember because at the time in the late '70s, we used to tour every major university in America.
Mm,
Uh, if we weren't playing the local theaters, we played every university, University of Michigan. We didn't play Toledo University. I can't remember if we did or not.
eh.
I think we may have played Ball State. Was Ball State there? No,
No, no, no. That's it. It's UT.
that's in Indiana.
Yeah, I don't even know.
University of Toledo.
Yeah, University of Toledo, and then Bowling Green University is nearby, and then
Bowling Green. Yeah, I don't know if it was Bowling. No, I would remember Bowling Green because Bowling Green was famous for this. I'm a sports historian, and there was a famous long distance runner that went there. That
oh,
was I think back in the late '70s.
there you go.
So as a
BGSU. It's
matter,
history there.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I just wanted to bring that up before I forgot because I remember we
Right on,
talked.
right on.
But okay, so then how did
So,
you? So what? Talk about like your teen years because you were a very. I mean, like you were a very young man when you went on the road with Chuck, and so
Benjamin. Yeah.
yeah. How did you what was that transition like? What was your high school like? How many were
Oh
you?
yeah, I'll tell. Yeah.
How was that?
When I was 4 years old, I used to go. I was going to a private school,
Mm.
in the early '60s, and I actually skipped the first grade because of they put me. I never went to kindergarten or anything. They put me right in the first grade when I was 4 years old,
Mm.
and it was a school in Hollywood called Hollywood Professional School. The most famous person that may know that went there, but that was many years after I went there. Is You remember this cute singer named Paula Abdul?
Of course.
Yeah,
Who?
Paula Abdul graduated from there, and then there was a 1960s gold medal winning skater, female by the name of Peggy Fleming. She went there
Oh, okay.
because there weren't any. I mean, there was probably two black kids in the whole school, and I was one of them. So
Oh,
that's where I started, and then I transferred to a few schools in the South Central area.
okay.
My junior high school was called the name of the junior high school was Horace Mann Junior High School,
Okay.
and there were quite a few. Well, I mean, you know, all through school though, people, kids, all my friends, they knew, you know, who I was then, because they saw me in the, in Cool and Luke, they saw me in these movies, they
Yeah.
saw me, and then I'd always play every talent show, I was always playing with somebody, live,
Right.
and at that school we had a couple of guys that I met there. When I was in the seventh grade, I had to be 13 years old, but they were like 15, 16. Uh, a couple of guys were members of the horn section from Rolls Royce.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Looking at the
Car
car wash,
wash. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
They got a few
yeah.
songs, man.
Those were like my older brothers, and Kenny Copeland, and
Okay.
lead trumpet player Kenny Copeland, and Freddie Dunn, and Michael. They were the horn section, and
Nice.
they asked me to come. I was still in junior high school. I wasn't even enrolled in the school yet, but they invited me to play a talent show. And I wound up playing there, and I said, "Oh, this is a school I want to go to." And it was crazy then because when like when when I was playing and being that young, it was like I was like the Beatles. It was
Mm-hmm.
like all you could hear was little girls like ah. I mean, I couldn't hear myself play, but I was playing, right through it anyway and
Right.
doing what I do naturally. So it didn't, but I just remember all these screams, like nonstop,
Right. 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 Yeah.
and another guy, he was, I think he was I think he was ahead of me too. His name was Kenny Nolan, and he is a producer on the song "Somebody's Watching Me" by Rockwell.
Hmm. Wait, that's
With Michael Jackson.
I
I
always
always
feel
feel like
like
somebody's
somebody's
watching
watching me.
me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Kenny, he went there, but he was kind of low key. He was like a young black hippie, but
Mm.
I didn't even know he played anything because he never like approached me to jam or anything.
Yeah.
And my other thing was playing basketball. I was pretty good in English, okay in math, and girls. That was my thing. Playing basketball at lunchtime with the fellas, and then we used to have these cool as like dance. We would have these dance,
Like dance
not a
battles.
dance off. No, no, not a dance. It was like we used to call them sock hops, or and they would play this the R&B, like the hits then,
Mm.
and we would like hang and dance for an hour. It was like so fun, man. We would get together, and it was at lunchtime. I think it was probably every Friday they would do it, like
Mm.
for an hour or so, and we would have like a dance hop. We'd all dance.
Right. Hey,
So
man.
those
Being young and,
days. So
and living life. You can't be mad at that.
from my junior high school years, that's when I went to graduated onto high school,
Mm.
and my high school was Crenshaw High School,
Oh.
on the west side of town in South Central, and a lot of musicians, a lot of top R&B legends went there.
Hmm.
The brothers Johnson went there, and my bassist with me with Chuck Mangione, Charles Meeks. I mean, we, Ice T. Man, I think some members of the group called New Birth.
Okay.
They went there.
Was this? I
Yeah.
mean, because South Central has a reputation, obviously, of being a rough neighborhood. Was it a rough neighborhood when you were growing up?
No, not really. I mean, it depends. Like I have to explain to you this. I lived out of the district, out of the county. I lived
Mm.
in the county.
Yeah.
So I had, in order for me to go to Crenshaw, I had to use my auntie's address.
Gotcha.
But where
Gotcha.
I lived 7 miles east of the LAX.
Okay.
So I was on the borderline of Inglewood, which is
Gotcha.
like
Gotcha.
totally blowing up now.
Yeah.
And I haven't been there in 20 years, but they say, I mean, I
Yeah. Well,
probably
no.
like, I would
There's.
definitely have a
Yeah.
culture
No.
shock. And, I
No,
would
yeah,
like,
man.
I
They
don't know.
built it out down there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's probably not what you remember. It's. I mean,
No, no.
a lot of those neighborhoods. When you think about like South Central and Long Beach, and what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Geez, I forgot what you even just said. But yeah, when you drive through
Inglewood.
Inglewood, yes, thank you. Inglewood, it's such, or Compton even. Like they've sort of.
Yeah, I heard about that because
Yeah.
I talk to people every day,
Right.
back home in LA and all over the place. But yeah, I heard about that Compton too, and I remember like I remember when Compton was cool, was cool in the
Well, now it
late
is cool
'60s.
again. I hear it's
Yeah,
cool again.
but even
Yeah.
before NWA came out and
Yeah, it's
the
exactly.
gangs and
Yeah,
all
the
that stuff,
NWA
it
Compton
was
is different.
yeah, it was cool. No, before that, I remember before that there
Wow.
because
Wow, that's
I
interesting.
had an uncle who lived there,
That's
so it
tight.
was cool. As a matter of fact, I played at Compton High School. I did concerts there when I was like
Wasn't there like some
30.
famous jazz club in Compton? Like maybe I got it wrong. I'm pretty sure I have
That
it all.
could be, yeah, but
I'm
it
sure I
could
have it
could
wrong.
have. Well, not necessarily in Compton, but it could have been. But
Hmm.
I remember doing a few talent shows there because I
Hmm.
played with, I was a teenager playing with grown ass men, So they had their group, their R&B band, and actually one of the guys when I was going to that junior high school was my teacher. He was a teacher of mine, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
who also he dabbled in a little soul singing,
Nice.
So he said, "Oh, they knew me. And so we gotta have him on drums." I was like 10 years old, but I knew all the music then.
Right.
I mean, we were playing, songs by the Chambers Brothers. We were playing, James Brown songs,
Yeah.
and I knew all these songs,
Yeah, man.
then, and I could play, So they took me along. So that was kind of my, kind of that was part of my upbringing at that
Yeah,
time.
you
And then
cut your
I
teeth. Yeah, for
actually
sure.
had a actually had a group, and there's a song that I'm going to refer you to that you can check out. Actually, if everybody goes to on YouTube and type in JBJ James Bradley Jr. Drummer Archives, just click on that, write that in, and click on that, and you can see and hear all the music through my whole career from the time it opens up with the Jack Benny Show, but if you keep scrolling down, and there's some stuff live footage from Stockholm, Sweden, with me here in Stockholm too, that you can check out.
Is it a
We're still, yeah.
playlist? Is
So
that what it is? It's a
yeah, it's a
playlist.
playlist. Yeah, it's a
Gotcha.
playlist,
I'm gonna drop in the
and
chat for
we're
everybody right now, so everybody can just click
yeah.
on. Oh, Reina already did it. Never mind.
Yeah.
thank you, Mod. I appreciate it, Reina. Thank you
There's
so
all
much.
we're having a channel. I have a channel. We have to upload it with material, but there is a channel too. I think it's JBJ James Bradley Jr.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that on that page, there's an interview with me and Shifty from Crazy Time. We hadn't seen each other in 20 years until last year, and they came up with a Sweden. He's the last remaining member of the band. So I produced this interview with him and we talk about a lot of stuff that most of our fans, even the new generation of Crazy Town fans,
Mm.
never knew about, and it turned out to be a great, exciting thing to do. And I'm glad that I thought of it
Well,
because
that was a
you just
great.
never know.
I love that interview because you guys were just casually talking, and I was talking to my
Yeah,
wife before the show, and I was like, James has this like really interesting perspective as on a career basis, because you've always been sort of able to walk in and sort of be hired by these already established artists. But with Crazy
Hmm.
Town, you got a chance to sort of see like a ground level and be part of it, right? Because they already had sort of, from what I understand, they had some heat around them, and then they asked you to come in, and then you guys just
Yeah,
blew
but
the fuck up.
yeah. But we jumped the gun. I got to get you up to that
Yeah,
because there's
yeah.
a lot of stuff in my life,
Oh,
a
I
lot of stuff in my
know.
life that
I
happened.
know. I know.
But I'm
I
going to
was
tell you, I'm going to explain to everybody about that. You're talking. We're going to
sure.
get into that. I'll tell you what happened, how that happened. But we're still in high school
And
now,
we're still in high
and
school.
actually there was another band. Now I went to Crenshaw High School, 73,
Mhm.
1973, 74, and 75. I'm from the class of 75 from
Okay.
Crenshaw High School, the Rock Yakimia. And during my high school, I joined the marching band at the time.
Mm.
When I was there, and I was kind of I became honorable. We had a band in the LA City School District called the All City High School Marching Band. It's like an all-star band of high schoolers, drummers and brass. And the thing is, our big thing was marching in the Rose Bowl parade every year, every New
Oh,
Year's
nice.
Eve.
Yeah.
So I wound up making it 3 years in a row.
There you go.
The first one was in 1973. And then my second year, we changed musical directors. I had this guy by the name of Wayne Horde, and he was white man from, I don't know where he came from, but the thing about the marching band that was so exciting, especially black marching bands, was the thing is you have to be able to play your instrument and do the dance moves at the same time.
Like real
So we
dancing.
were stepping, yes, we were stepping and moving and playing. You got to hit your mark and turn and spin and whatever the new dances were, we were doing then to whatever
Wow.
whatever the new songs were. And my second year, this man by the name of James Woodson came from Gary, Indiana, hometown of the Jacksons,
Mm.
and I became the teacher's pet. I became the band president, drum captain.
Yeah.
And he went to a black college, called Tennessee State University.
Mm.
But my favorite band before I met him was another all black school called Grambling College, which is known as Grambling State now.
Mm.
They had some back in the '60s and '70s. They had a lot of athletes from the football team that went on to turn pro.
Okay.
And they had an amazing marching band. They were amazing. They were the world's like fastest stepping band. I mean, they
Wow.
could march like so fast and play at the same time.
Right.
So they came to our school when I was in the 10th grade and did a performance.
Mm.
So I was like, nah, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to go. And then Dr. Woodson came in and he like adopted me, and because I had the vision. I said, hey man, because we were pretty good. My 10th in the 10th grade we were okay, but in the deep South Central, there was a band from this high school called Locke High School, and they were like the baby
Oh.
Grambling of the West Coast in
Okay.
high school, and they had a lot of great musicians come out of that school. That were like jazz superstars, Patrice Rushing and the late great my brother drummer by the name of Ndugu Leon Chancellor, and they had like Gerald Albright and all these. They had these cats, so we became rivals because we were on the west side, they were on the east side. They were from
Of
Watts,
course.
they were from the hood for real. And they weren't shugging and jiving. They weren't playing. They put it down. So that was our. I said, man, we got to be on our SHI too, because these guys are these.
Yeah, man.
We want to take them down. So
Yeah, they came to
so
play.
sec- yeah, right. The
Thank you for
second
that
year,
woo.
James Woodson came in, and we just drilled the band, and we got all new songs and all new steps, choreography, and
Right.
we my last 2 years we came up. Uh,
Nice.
so
That's
I
awesome.
found I actually found I found time to record I want to tell you about this. Well, it's on my playlist from YouTube. But when I was 15, we had a band called Starborn, and there's a song called "The Funky Piper." And if you listen to it and find it on there, I was 15 years old playing this song. We were like the Jacksons, kind of after the Jacksons,
Uh-huh.
and we came along the same time as this group called the Silvers. And we
Okay.
were 15. And if you listen to the song, you will say, "What?" I mean, it was a song called "Funky." Don't. It's called "The Funky Piper," and it's about it. It was the way we wrote it. It was like about like pusher man, like pushing drugs on the street to young
Okay.
people, and
Okay.
that was in 1974. So that's what the song is about,
All
and
right.
it's like funky, and it's a great song. And then there's another one we have on there, a ballad called "What Does It Take." I mean, it's like a tearjerker, old school like R&B ballad,
Yeah.
but when you listen to it, it's like you can tell that the singer is really young, and
Mm,
but I was playing the drums, and we were self-contained, like
right.
you know.
Oh, no, that's Funky Nacho. Never mind. I was like, wait, is
Oh,
this a
that's from Stockholm. That's like a jazz fusion, a jazz, short-lived
I was looking
band.
for the video, but I'm not seeing it here. I was just gonna play it in the
You have to go
background while.
down. There's so much. There's so much. You have to keep going
I
down,
know you
down,
got
down.
it. Just it keeps going, bro. That's awesome, though. I love it. It's like you just got so
You can
much.
write. You can try writing in Starborn. My
Starborn.
name James Bradley Jr. Maybe it'll come up.
Maybe
Starborn.
Star. Wait, I just saw Star.
Starborn.
Superstition. No, that's definitely not it. Oh no, that's Silver. I saw Silver. Well, I can't find it, and I
You'll
don't.
find it. I'll hook you up later.
Okay, please do. I'm on your playlist, but I'm not finding it, and I don't want people just to
Yeah.
sit here and watch
Don't
me
worry
look
about
for
it.
stuff. Hey, Adam,
I'll
welcome,
hook you up.
welcome. Thank you for being here, buddy.
We're
Uh,
just getting. I'm just trying to get you to my. Yeah. So we're at. Yeah. Okay. So I graduated from Provincial High School in 1975. I wanted to go. Now this is the what do you call it? The trigger here. I, I was kind of undecided my senior year in high school, like between going away from LA and
mhm.
going to way down south to this college, Grambling, or going to a black college that had a really good music program.
Mm.
And then I even thought about like, wow, it would be cool if I could go to University of Michigan. I didn't have the grades to go to University
You're
of
busy
Michigan. I
chasing
applied.
girls. That's why.
Well, I mean,
Just
I
playing.
was a C plus,
Hey,
an A in
C's get
an
degrees,
A
sir.
in certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was A plus in certain things,
Right.
English, music, and sports, of course, But but overall was a C. I mean,
Hey.
so I didn't have the grades to go to it. I tried to apply, they didn't accept me. But
Well,
then
luckily your
check this
career
out.
didn't depend on your grades, so you know.
I got I got a couple of offers from I got an offer from Ball State University. Actually, they sent me a
There you
letter,
go.
and there was a couple of schools from Indiana that sent me letters and fill this out, come to the check us out. But then my father pulled me aside at the time and said, James, if you go away, if you leave LA, Hollywood, you won't be able to further your career as a musician or actor. And I said, you know what, you're right. So I decided to go to a junior college in LA, at this junior college by the name of El Camino
Mm,
Junior College.
okay.
And one of my dreams every day, at the same time, I was after high school though, I met this guy uh, who since passed, another fantastic young musician and keyboardist by the name of Patrick Moulton. Now, Patrick Moulton had produced the first Anita Baker album. He produced the first Anita Baker album.
Oh, nice.
That this was in '82, and actually they wanted me to play on it, but I was on tour. They couldn't find me. I just finished touring with Mangione,
Yeah.
at the time. But before that, before he got that opportunity, we met while we were in high. He was a year ahead of me. We met jamming at a party, and we were all like, I was 16 years old at the time, and we met at a party jamming, and he said, "Man, you sound great, and you sound so. Let's start a group." So we put this band together. We got a couple other people in the band, and we were all same age, 17, 16. I think the oldest was 18. We had a band called Manufactured Funk, and
Okay.
there was a famous club on in the Crenshaw district at the time called the Total Experience, and that they had legend. I mean, they're totally legends now. Some of them aren't with us, but they had the top bands, R&B acts playing there nightly,
Mm.
from Donny Hathaway,
Oh man.
the Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes with Teddy Pendergrass, Rufus, and Shaka Khan, and
Watch
Young.
out. Watch out.
When they were
Watch
started.
out.
So we became the house band for the club. So
Oh nice.
we would open the shows for these artists.
Yeah.
Like my heroes, like live, like there.
Yeah.
BB King.
Watch out.
Donny Hathaway, and so we were doing that, and my parents like, wow. I mean, they were saying like, it's great that you're gigging, but what are they paying you? And we were getting like $15 a show, and my parents were in the musicians union.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said, James, Junior, you got to get in the union. They're supposed to pay you more money than just $15.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, what? And she said, yeah, this is like, these guys are like gangsters. They're like no good. They're bad news.
Yeah.
So I stuck it out for a few months, and this was in the fall of '75.
Okay.
And then I met. There was other drummers and other musicians with those people that I met that saw me, and they said, "Wow, you're amazing for your age," And they remembered who I was. One of them was a drummer from New York City by the name of Dennis Davis, and he had just recorded with David Bowie at the time. He
Mm.
told me like, "Man, I'm going to be going on tour with David Bowie." This was like '75. I said, "Really?" He said,
Yeah.
"Yeah." You know, because he had just Bowie had just come out with
Yeah.
Fame.
Fame.
Yeah, he just
What's
come
the
out,
name?
but
What's the name?
Dennis did not play the drums on that track. But
Mm.
but David Bowie found him in Harlem, in New York City,
Yeah.
along with several other young guys at the time. Carlos Alomar, Luther Vandross was in this group too.
Watch
So
out.
he hired them. He found them in New York, in Harlem,
Yeah.
and took them with him.
Okay.
So they joined him in '75, '76. They went on tour, and he wound up playing on several albums. So he was like my first big brother from like New York that I met, and he was like floored, by me. And he used to call me Powerhouse. He said,
All right.
"Man,
Watch out.
you're so little, and you got all these chops. You can play all this, man. You know."
Yeah, man.
So he was the first person that took my name to New York
Yeah.
before I even got to New York. You
Okay.
know. So what happened? And I going back to this Total Experience. I quit the day I quit working at the Total Experience. I saw the assistant manager and I said, "Look, I have to go. I'm done. I'm done." And he's like, "Oh, it's a classic Hollywood movie. Oh, you're never gonna work again in this town. You're never gonna make it." I said, "Dude, go have another beer. I'm out." What I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right.
Bye. And then what happened? What happened there was then I started. Then I went back to my roots. I
Uh-huh.
started playing with the local jazz artists in LA,
Okay.
Patrice Rushen, and then I hooked up with one of my heroes, this guy who's still with us by the name of piano player by the name of George Cables, and he was with Freddie Hubbard, and he had his own group, so he said, "Come, I want you with me." I started playing around town with him, and then my name started getting out around town, LA and Hollywood,
Mm.
and mostly in the jazz circle. And then uh, my teacher, high school teacher, came back to me, called me one day in the summer of 1976. I was still going to junior college at the time. I took a few courses, but my dream at that point, I said, now I know what I want to do. I want to, support, join an artist, a major artist, and go on tour.
Yeah.
That was my thing, because at the time there was this magazine called the Performance Magazine that I used to every day after school I would go up to Hollywood, up on Sunset and Sunset Boulevard and Vine, and go to this the newsstands, the newsstands, which they don't probably have anymore.
Mm.
We used to go there, and I used to like find this magazine called the Performance Magazine, in that magazine, dig this, they had all the touring bands in America at that time. Santana, anybody, you name it, Sonny and Cher, whoever was touring, whatever band, Aerosmith, all the bands that were hot and touring, they printed their touring schedules.
Oh, nice.
And it was like really, I would go there and like read, oh wow, they're in Dallas or they're in Toledo tonight. They're gonna be, and that like floor, I was like knocked out. I said, that's what I want to do.
Right.
So the opportunity came when the first opportunity of me touring and getting my first professional tour came when my old band director, after a year, called me and said, look, now while I was in high school, I met one of his old students, and her name is Denise Williams, soul singer.
Okay.
But at the time, she's from Gary, Indiana, like him, and he taught her in school. But at that time in the middle '70s, she was a background singer, touring singer with Stevie Wonder.
Oh, right
Okay,
on.
so I met her one time, and she remembered who I was. Well, she had just gotten signed to Columbia Records to do her first ever solo album,
Mm.
produced by Earth, Wind and Fire drummer Maurice White.
Oh, all right.
And they needed a band. She needed her own band to go on tour. So she kind of like shocked me. One day he called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go by Denise's manager's house in the Hollywood Hills, in Laurel Canyon, which I wound up living later myself for a little while."
Hey.
And she said, she just wants you to come by and jam with her, just have a casual jam. I'm thinking, okay, whatever. I go there and she asked me, do I have a bass player? Well, one of the guys I went to high school with, one of my best friends, was a bass player. He was in the other band, Manufactured Funk, by the name of Kenny Christian. So I said, I took my boy with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the musical director was a guy I had worked with that got me the audition to be the training rehearsal drummer for the Quincy Jones Big Band. All this was happening in 1976.
Wow.
And Charles Mims, who was at that time Patrice Rushing's boyfriend, but he was a Herbie Hancock, then type player.
Yeah.
He was a little older than me, but he was there, and we had like a couple other. We had two guitarists. One of the guitarists I knew, and then we had this blonde surfer dude from like Santa Monica, named John Hoisenstein, and
What'd he
he
play?
was badass. Guitar. We had two guitar players.
There's always the white guy who's shredding on the guitar.
Yeah, but he was really soulful though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like you'll see a group of of black dudes with the one white guitarist who's sitting there with long hair, like shredding away. It's just something that I've noticed. But please continue.
But it's great. It's beautiful.
I absolutely agree. It's just something that's funny to me that I see sometimes, where it's just like I saw Maxwell, Maxwell, the soul singer Maxwell.
Yeah.
I saw him live, and his whole band's black, but him and his partner the guitarist is this bald white guy who's like out there shredding. I'm just like, I love that so much. That's what I love about music, and that's what I love about what music has done for, especially when it comes to like race relations, because music was like one of those things that kicked down the door with integration, right? You know what I mean?
It still is, but it needs to,
Absolutely.
especially in America. The young. That's what I'm encouraging and what I'm talking about. It's like, we all need to come together. That's all we need to do.
Absolutely.
And all this other BS we don't need. Who's ever hating, they can be on the other side.
Yeah. No.
But everybody, and I'm gonna say THEY. They know this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Musical is the healing force of the universe. Okay. It always will be. Okay. And there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and struggle that we've all that the artists that have gone through before us, that have left the gift here for us, that have passed on. We need to carry that on together.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in a new age now, but surprisingly, and I predicted this just go off track here for a minute, that because I even over here, I work with a lot of young people here in Sweden, Stockholm, in Sweden. I work with too, and I predicted like years ago that, hey, kids are going to get tired of this, this digital everything, like
Yeah.
and they're calling. They're asking, like a lot of the greats are leaving now, leaving us now, but
Yeah.
there's still, some of us here that need to and are carrying on the tradition, and
Absolutely.
carrying on that, and they're really interested in doing this, because a lot of my kids, my kids, and a lot of students that I've worked with, they're so enamored by how it was when I came up.
Yeah.
They're connected to the '70s, because I was a teenager in the '70s in the Boogie Night years, so I knew about all that,
The boogie night.
especially coming. Oh yeah, I call it Boogie Night years because that's what it became for me too.
Hell
That's
yeah.
that's
Well, I was gonna ask you
another
about
subject.
that. Well, no, I was gonna. Well, I kind of want to talk about that because when I think about it, and you're a very young man, and you get brought on to the Chuck Mangione, and Chuck, he was a star at the time, and I mean still is a legend.
Well, he became I
Oh
mean
wait,
after
so
I joined him, he went
you
the
gave him the
star
JBJ
rose.
bump. That's what you did. You gave him the JBJ
What?
bump.
Well, it was actually then it was called the gel bait. They used to call me gel bait.
J-
That was my that was my nickname because I used to have all these young girlfriends of mine coming around. And he said one day it was when we were actually doing the Feel So Good album,
Mm.
and that this one girlfriend of mine, I was 18 and she was 21,
Uh,
but she looked 16 years old. And he said, you're gonna get us thrown in jail bringing all this gel bait around, and then it stuck. He called me gel bait,
and now
but
you're just.
we're gonna get right to how I hooked up with Chuck. But
Well, I mean,
after that,
well,
yeah.
before we get too far from it, and I guess I could wait for us to get into it more, but I'm just curious. Well, let's wait because okay. Tell us how you got in the Chuck because I'm just really curious about something, but we'll get there. So please continue.
Okay.
How did Chuck find you? How did
So
you find Chuck?
well, what happened was now I went on my first tour before I got with Chuck Mangione,
Got you.
and it turned out like I was explaining. I went to this. It wasn't even an audition with Denise Williams.
Yeah.
It was a jam. She told me it was going to be a jam, but after we played a few numbers and it sounded great. She said, what's happening? She said, you're hired. I said, what? Yeah, you're going to go on tour. We're going to go on tour in 2 weeks. I'm like,
I didn't know I
what?
applied.
She said, she said, yeah, we're going to be opening up for the Ohio Players,
Yeah.
and we're going to Casey and the Sunshine Band,
Hey.
and like who else we played? The Commodores, and that's when Lionel Richie was with
Lionel.
the band before
Ah.
he went solo, and
But that
Earth,
is the
Wind and
first
Fire, and I'm like,
connection right
oh my
there.
god. I just started. I didn't even. I mean, I almost started crying, but I was like, "Oh my god."
I'm
And that's
sure.
what happened. I went on tour. I wound up going on my first tour,
Your first
and we were
tour
opening
was
my first main professional
supporting.
tour
Wow, that's
with
crazy. So,
Denise Williams,
were
and I
you
was
on a
I was
bus for
17.
that? Were you on a bus for
No,
that? No,
planes and hotels. That
planes
was
and
my first experience.
hotels.
Planes and hotels.
Beautiful, beautiful
That
first
was my
experience.
first experience with room service as a
That's beautiful, man. My
you
first
know.
experience was like a small little shitty van with a bunch of dudes farting on each other. That your your experience sounds way awesomer than my experience.
Yeah, well,
But hey,
it got better. It got better because
yeah,
what happened?
please.
Yeah, I wound up touring with her for 2 months. I think it was 3 months. I worked with her, and then she got rid of us. She fired that particular group. She wanted to get some other musicians,
Oh,
and actually the drummer that replaced me was the legendary drummer from Tower Power, Dave Garibaldi.
okay.
Dave Garibaldi, and so I was a little heartbroken because that was my first experience in the business. In the
So it
business.
was your first
It's
experience. It was your first
touring,
experience for the tour,
coming
the
back.
high life,
Yeah,
and then your
yeah,
first experience getting
playing
cut.
shows. Yeah, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
and then so that was
So,
crushing for
so
you.
yeah, it was a little. Yeah, it was. But I held my head up. I had other offers. I mean, before I actually turned down. After she hired me, we back up 3 months into the summer of 1976. I got called by Carlos Santana to join his band,
Oh,
and
nice.
I turned it down because like I felt that Denise was more family than me, and I felt more secure with her. So I
Oh,
took that job. I took that tour. But after we were let go, that was like November of 1976, and then December the next month, I get a phone call from big brother, Charles Meeks, the bassist with who became the bassist with Chuck Mangione,
Mm.
and he had worked with a fellow legendary guitarist from jazz guitarist from Detroit by the name of Earl Klugh. You know
Mm.
Earl Klugh.
Okay.
He was from Detroit.
Okay.
Amazing
Nice.
acoustic jazz. I mean, you should check him out.
Yeah, I
Listen
will.
to his music. He's a legend, Detroit legend, world jazz legend. And he said, "Hey, man, I just recommended you to Chuck Mangione." Now, at the time, I was listening to two different channels, you know, radio stations every day. One was this top. Well, it wasn't really a top 40 radio station called Cute 102, but they played back in those days as a radio station. Now, check this out. They used to play. Now they used to preview albums because I remember the first Gap Band album I heard
Mm.
called Magician's Holiday. Now they would take each artist and play the single, whatever single they were promoting, but they would also play two other songs, album cuts
Mm.
off each artist's album, which I thought was really cool. Because at the time you could hear samples of what was on the album too.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That I
yeah.
used to go up the Tower. I used to go to Tower Records in Hollywood every day, and once I would go to the newsstand and buy the Performance magazine, then I would run over to the record store, Tower Records, and look and read the back of album covers, and they used to list all the musicians,
Yeah.
who played drums on every album, and that was like fired me up and gave me like, oh wow, I mean, this is my guy, Steve Gadd or Harvey Mason on drums, or this is what inspired me to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then the Denise Williams thing, but then Charles Meeks had recommended me for the audition with Chuck, and he auditioned over 30 drummers, and I was number 29.
Oh. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I auditioned with him, and I never will forget this day. I thought that I thought that I did okay. He was really nice, cool, and hey, thanks for coming. I'm thinking, oh well, I did all right. I'm thinking,
Right.
okay, thank you so much. I go out the door. Then like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call directly to my house. I was living at my mom with my mom at the time, 18 years old. Her and my dad had split up
Mm.
at the time, and I get this phone call. I'm buying albums, and listening to the jazz radio station at that time. So I knew who Chuck was,
Mm-hmm.
because I listened to his early music before I even played it, and
Yeah.
I knew who he was,
Right. Right.
you know. And then he said, "Man, this is what he says to me." He goes, first thing he says is, "Hey, you got a winter coat?" I said, "What you talking about? What you talking about, man?" I mean, I live in L.A. There's no snow in Los Angeles. He knows this. I'm like,
Yeah.
so what are you talking about? He said, "Yeah, you're gonna be playing January 29th in 1977. Was the date, my first day. You're gonna be playing with me on Long Island at the Long Island Civic Center or something. I'm
Wow.
like, what? Yeah, he said, I'm coming out. I'm coming back to L.A. because Chuck is from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
That's where Chuck is from.
Mm.
And he said, I'm coming back to LA. The label was in LA, A&M Records was in
Okay.
LA. So he had to go back and forth quite a bit. And he said, man, yeah, I'm coming in 2 weeks. I'm going to send you all my albums, by mail, like a big stack of albums,
Yeah.
and some music. You can learn the songs, follow along, whatever,
And
learn the
could you
songs.
read? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are
Yeah,
you a
I knew.
reader?
I learned how to read music for drumming uh, after when I turned 5 years old.
Okay.
Actually,
So you had
I had my
proper
first.
training and everything like that. Okay. Cool.
I had
Please.
my I had private instruction, but I didn't study. I mean, I look back at it now. I would have liked to have gone to a music conservatory,
Yeah.
but
So
that's
like
neither here
Juilliard
nor
or
there.
something.
Well, yeah, maybe, but at that
Yeah.
time it was I wasn't even thinking about that,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all.
Of course. Yeah. Fine.
I wanted
Anyways.
to, I wanted I wanted to resume my professional career because
I.
like I said, I came from the '60s as a child, and now the time I'm older now I got to establish myself again, on that level. So that's what it was about,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. but he said, yeah, I'm gonna come and we're gonna rehearse, for about a week. And I never will forget this because you know what? Why? Because he said for a whole week we're gonna rehearse. Well, at that time there was a famous TV series that came on for the first time in America. And guess what the series that was? And it was like 5 days.
The Gong Show.
No, that was on every day.
My bad.
No,
I,
that this is when they had the epic Roots came on. The first time Roots
oh
was aired,
wow, wow.
and it
Okay,
was on every night for a whole week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
I
Thursday,
see. I
Friday.
see.
You
I
had to
see.
get through all 5 days to get through the whole
Well,
story.
now I feel bad for making a stupid joke.
No, no, no. But you didn't know.
I
I'm
did.
I'm I'm here to I'm here to inform you and
Please
educate you.
do. Please do.
Uncle JBJ's class.
Wild but
So
sober,
we
you're
I
gonna have to
rehearsed.
wait on that, buddy. You'll have to come back for that melodica solo. Sorry, someone asked me to do a melodica solo, and I'm like, not right now. I'm sorry, Wild but sober. I'm not gonna do a melodica solo in front of James Bradley Jr.
We can get into that later because I can drop another name on you that might inspire you to play the melodica for me if you can get funky.
Oh, who is that?
If you got some soul,
I mean,
Billy
I could.
Preston,
Oh,
who's
Billy Preston's amazing. Here, hold on.
he's like he's like my fifth cousin, by the way. So
Oh, well, that's fun. Here, we'll do a quick melodica solo
that's
because
another
only
story.
because James said he said something about it. So it's not gonna be very big. Um,
Can you
there you go. That's
can
it.
you play can you play can you play superstitious?
And let me see if I remember. It's
The
been.
black keys, the black keys.
I know.
E flat,
I
E
do it.
flat.
I always play with guitarists, so they always make it E. They always shift it up to E because guitarists like the E
Right,
and
exactly.
let's see if I can remember it. Uh, uh,
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, yeah.
oh my god. Okay, no, I'm embarrassing myself, James. You're,
You started. You
yeah, I
started to play.
know. Oh please.
There was
I
a friend.
and please, I'm embarrassed enough, James. Please don't make me.
Yeah, baby. Yeah,
Are you happy,
yeah.
wild but sober? Are you happy? Thank you for those claps, guys.
we, we
Uh,
checked. Yeah. So we did the rehearsal for a week, and then the next thing I know, I think that Monday, we had the last rehearsal on the Friday, and then he said, "Well, I'm sending you a ticket Monday or something. You're flying to New York, and then you're driving to Long Island. And that was my first show with Chuck, with Charles Meeks on bass and Grant Geisman, and the
Thank
late
you.
great. We just lost our brother, our sax player. He died year before last. Chris
Oh,
Vidala. He was amazing,
oh.
amazing player. And Uncle Chucky on the Fender Rhodes and flugelhorn. But that was 4 months. Now I toured. Now we toured for 4 months, right?
Uh,
And from January, February, March, April, 1977, until April, we went in the studio for the first time with him, and that's where "It Feels So Good," the album was born.
oh
That's where
man,
"Feel So Good" happened
which
in LA.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so after you guys released this album, that's the album that really set Chuck Mangione over the edge, right? Like that put him in the
Oh,
spotlight.
that blew. We crossed over
Yeah.
for 3 years. I mean,
Yeah,
on the
he was on
charts,
the
on the Billboard
mainstream. He
charts.
went from
Oh yeah,
jazz to straight up mainstream radio with
yeah, totally pop. Yeah,
yeah.
we had "Feel So Good" single was it was on the charts for 3 years,
I
but
mean, it's still
it
a
was
jam. It's still a jam.
79, 79. We went to number one on the jazz charts in like 1 week, and
Right.
we went and check this out. They weren't even playing "Feel So Good." They were playing whatever we had. Like there's a song called "The 11th Commandment" that features me on the drums, drum solo. They were playing cuts off the album, and it just shot up to number one in like 1 or 2 weeks. and then they released "Feel So Good," and then it worked its way to the Billboard Pop charts. It
Right.
was the number two single till Saturday Night Fever. Number two album to
Travolta.
Saturday Night Fever.
Bee
Yeah,
Gees.
number two, number two,
Travolta.
yeah, number two, and the Bee Gees.
The Bee
Fever.
Bee Gees. Sorry, stay low. Yeah, man. You know what's funny about that song is that's the song that they tell you to do the rhythm to when you're giving people CPR. You think of ha 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 ha, staying alive, staying alive, and while you're giving people CPR, you're pumping their chest to PGs.
Oh God.
But that's just a little side note. So you guys, I mean, obviously, I'm only assuming, but you guys are probably going from smaller places you're playing to big arenas, and then
Definitely.
and then of course the attention and then all the adulation that goes with it. And this is sort of where I was getting at earlier. As a young man, and you're facing like that kind of overwhelming attention, because I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot for any human. I don't know if humans are meant to have that kind of attention, but we do it all the time. But what I'm curious about is when I think of myself as a young man and where I was a complete mess. And if I had the kind of success that you had at a young age, I know I'd just be off, spending on blow and hookers, whatever, all the stupid things that you could ever do. But I'm just curious, like, how did you handle that as a young man? Were you straight and narrow to the, I'm staying on the path?
No,
He said no.
Absolutely not. You named everything that I did.
He was like, it's the mid-'70s, bitch. What do you think I was doing? Cocaine and hookers.
I'll tell you. I'll briefly tell you. I didn't have to have hookers, but
I'm just joking. I was just joking. That's hookers always sound funny with blow.
But I'm serious. I mean,
Oh, I know.
Whatever
you don't need to buy hookers when you're in the Chuck Mangione band. You got a #1 hit song.
I can tell you how it would happen. Now, my thing was when like you said in the beginning, we played some basketball arenas at some colleges,
Yeah.
But then we were playing mostly all the jazz clubs like the Roxy in LA or Bottom Line in New York, or like Ivanhoe Theater, Chicago. But then we kind of graduated to Chuck was playing really well-to-do places. I mean, we played everywhere except Carnegie Hall. We played the Lincoln Center. That's where I actually blew up because there was a baseball writer for the New York Yankees, the late great Phil Pepe, and he wrote about the concert, but he totally plugged me. And so, my brother Dennis Davis, bringing my name to New York, and with everybody in New York reading this article, I mean, it's just like that's where everybody in New York knew I was, and it was really happening back then, with great drummers playing there, recording every day. Steve Gadd, Steve Jordan, Chris Parker, Rick Marotta, all these guys who were my peers and heroes. But it was the classic JBJ. Excuse me, I wasn't called JBJ then. I was called Jailbait Bradley. The thing I tell you, one of the coolest things, I think Chuck had learned this from, I think Benny Goodman or Dizzy Gillespie, because he was young when he met Dizzy.
Wow.
He would, after every show, he would sign autographs for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have these long lines, like in the theater, people waiting to get autographs. He would sign the albums, and he made sure that the whole band was sitting out there with him, signing all the albums together. Mm-hmm. So that was it was more than just slim pickings for me, because I was the youngest one in the band. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
and there was a lot of young. I mean, the cool thing is that we had our audience ages range from 18 because of me, or 18 to like 65-year-old senior citizens, all at once. And because of Charles Meeks and I, it was a multiracial thing. I mean, we had, black kids, everybody, white, everybody together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll just say right now, for 4 years in a row, we sold out every concert we played. And we toured. We were touring as big. We didn't even play arenas. We played a few arenas on festivals, but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have to. We played our own self-contained. Chuck would play every major theater in America. I mean, we play. I know we played in Toledo once,
Yeah.
but the thing is, my thing was signing the autographs, and then there's always young girls my age in line lining up, and you just like, oh hey, what are you doing? Let's go to the disco.
Right.
Boom. And from there it was on.
It was up.
It
No,
was
well, you.
on. So
I mean, obviously, you toured with Chuck for years. I mean, was there a point in those times where you were getting a little out of hand and you had to be like took aside, or did you always maintain a professionalism?
well, I mean, it was always professional, but yeah, toward the end there was a few slip ups, but one of them wasn't because of the blow or anything, partying.
Yeah.
Actually, one was I overslept and missed
What?
missed one plane in 4 years I missed,
You missed
and I
one
was able
plane
to.
ride because of
But
cocaine,
yeah,
and
but
people are all mad.
fortunately for me, I was able to catch a plane, that
Yeah,
same day and get to the gig, before I
for
didn't miss
sure,
the gig.
for
So,
sure, for
you
sure.
know, but I mean, it was around in the industry at the time,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, totally. I mean,
it kind
that's
of it kind of I wouldn't say casually started with my boss, and every board meeting, every like meeting you go to, like the executives or lawyers or doctors or whoever they were on that level,
yeah.
they had they had a little vibe. Hey, you want a bump? Here's a bump. you know,
Right, right,
that's how it
right.
was, man.
Yeah, yeah. It was
So
it was known as the
and then
rich people drug for a
like
long
I
time.
told you before, that's right. That's what my uncle told me. Like one of my play uncles told me.
Hmm.
You like that rich man stuff, you know.
And that
But I
rich
mean,
man.
yeah, that's what it was at that time. That's what it was. So that's why I said the boogie night years, definitely, And yeah, toward the end, I was there to April '81, and I actually got a trust fund. Now, see, after I left, I got a trust fund 3 or 4 months later, which was very generous and a very
What is that? A trust fund? Like someone
useful.
left you
Yeah, yeah.
money in a
Uncle,
trust?
yeah, Uncle Chucky had left me a fund. I mean, he built it up when I joined the band.
Oh
So
wow.
I mean, he took money out of my check and all those years, all our checks actually, and put it away for all of us.
Oh
Like for
no
retirement.
shit. And
Yeah.
and then when you
So
left the band, you got like almost like a severance
like
check.
3 months later, it came, and
Uh
then,
huh.
then it was gone before the next year because the boogie nights were on real for real.
He's like, cause we were
I look
boogieing,
back on
baby.
that, and it's like, you know what? Damn, if I had just think about it, would have invested in something then,
Yeah.
and you know. But I
Yeah.
mean, like your life is, God has, you know, your plan and your when you say legacy. I wouldn't even say legacy, but your life is written, has been written like two or 300, thousands of years ago, really, in the pyramid. So
Yeah.
we don't know. Just know that, it's already written. So how you get back on track is, hearing the word, following your heart, not
Mm-hmm.
your mind. You know,
I feel
and
you.
that's what happened to me. That's how I got my life back. I mean, I was out there for 17 years and exactly 17 years and 5 months before I came to the program of recovery that saved my life. That
I
saved my
got
life.
you.
It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Absolutely. Amen,
And
brother.
now, 25 years later, I'm able to talk to you and
Yeah,
meet you
for
and
sure, man.
share with you and
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah. No, for
So
sure,
I'm
man.
I'm I'm forever grateful every day. I wake up regardless if I have $1 or like thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Which can happen at any time.
Right. Yeah.
If you
No.
but it's not about the you learn that you just become grateful, humble. I mean, I've always been humble,
Mm.
but I got humbled, by what I did, what I've done, and it was most definitely like the best decision I ever made in my life. When I decided to understand understand God as I understand Him, turn my life and care over to God, my higher power, which I choose to call God, and now I'm saying it's the universal God.
Hey.
I mean, it's like the best decision, and my life is greater than ever. and when you do that, when you get your life back after you, um, like we say in the rooms, get your ass kicked out there. Everything is amazing because everything you do is like so much better.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. It's amazing. It's like I got like a second. What do you call it? A second. I wouldn't say a second win, but when there were people in the room saying, "Oh, look out now! One of the best, greatest drummers of all time just got clean and sober. Look
Right.
out!" Because
Yeah.
they thought I was going to die. Like in '95, that's when I hit. That's when I hit rock bottom.
Wow.
They thought I was going to die in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well.
the key to that was that was the word on the street, and it got back to me.
Oh
You
wow.
know, because I was like, I didn't want like close people, that knew me. Only a few people knew that I was going through what I was going through,
Right.
and I thought I was fooling everybody. But then the word got back through me through one of my best friends, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
they
Wow.
know now. Then after I realized that,
So
I
that
went
was.
to Andre Crouch's church. He prayed for me, and then you know what? That same day, I did a couple of lines of blow after he prayed for me.
Amen.
And I'm like, okay, but check this out though.
Right.
But check this out though. What happened was, the Lord was setting me up to get to my fellowship of people.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be where I could identify with people like me.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah, man.
And that's how I came first full circle. So one day I did something. I mean, it was the devil cracked that brought me to my knees. But I wanted doing a rock one day, and it didn't do anything for me. I
Really.
looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "What are you doing?" Then I realized that, wait a minute, I'm not even high. I don't feel this.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew I was ready. That's when I knew
Yeah.
I was ready. And I called my guy. I said, "Dude, pick me up and take me to a meeting."
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I ain't looked back since. I had a slip the first week, the first 2 weeks. I had 14 days clean,
Mm.
and I threw myself into the book, and I was like going to meetings, 3 meetings a day,
Yeah.
you know.
Hell yeah.
And then, I had a genuine slip
Mm.
where I slipped. I had went out. I was partying with my lawyer and some other girl or whatever. And after I did that line, man, I said, "Well," I got really angry at myself. Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I didn't like panic and go crazy and like try to kill myself.
Right.
I was like really upset, angry, like
Yeah.
you know.
Disappointed. You're disappointed in
But I
yourself.
did call. But the thing is, the key to what saved me was that I called. See, I had a really good close contact with my sponsor.
Mm.
And he was so cool. I mean, when I met my sponsor the second day of my meeting, and it was like we were married. It was like, I mean, it was like a spiritual thing. And like I knew it was that guy. The particular guy that became my sponsor was him. And I called him right after I did that. Before I said I'm gonna go to bed. I didn't stay up all night and go crazy. I ate something, came down, called him, and he said, "Go to a meeting
Right.
the next day and share about your experience." That's what he told me. Tell them what happened.
Right.
And I went there to the meeting the next day, and it was an all gay men's meeting. I said, "I don't care what type of meeting it is. I'm going."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went there and I testified. And shared what happened, and they just stood up and just gave me love.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. I love that.
25 years later, I just celebrated last month, the end of
Oh,
last month, 25.
congratulations, man. That shit's huge. No, I absolutely agree with you. Like the best decision I ever made was abstaining from alcohol. I stopped saying sober because I'm definitely not sober. I'm definitely a stoner. But but alcohol and heroin, like
Yep.
that was those were the monkeys on the back that I was able to
Right.
shake. And yeah, dude,
Wow.
when you say when you say like when you're experiencing things through sober eyes, and when you're saying like, wow, everything's so cool, it's like you really do get your life back. Like you get to go remember these good times, right? Like you get to remember the good
Right.
times that when you're partying. Yeah, I'm having a good time, but you don't remember what you did. You made a fool of yourself. You said something stupid. Whatever happened. I don't know what you did, but I mean, it's just.
I,
But but
I partied and I still remember
well, yeah, I did.
some things.
Yeah, me, I
Right.
was bad. I was bad. I blacked out every time I drank, which is
Oh,
so dangerous
oh,
and awful. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you really do. It really is just a new beginning, and like my life, I feel like my life started then because it was all leading up to me getting off of alcohol, and my music career started then too, which is very funny. During these times that you were using. Were you still working professionally? I mean, I imagine you were, but
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I had to. Well, see, that after Chuck Mangione, I got off the road
Mhm.
from 1982 till 86
Mm.
when I joined Anita Baker. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So, and then you were
but
just playing
the,
locally in town. You just
well,
recording and
no,
stuff.
during that time, I was actually in the studio co-writing and doing my own music with another fellow who's no longer with us and was like one of my best friends, Donald Griffin, and his brother was the lead singer for the Miracles. He took over Smokey Robinson's place. So, but he was into funk and rock. We were merging funk and rock way before Living Color or the Chili Peppers or anybody. We were doing that.
Yeah.
But so I was they taught me my singing skills were coming out more. I started singing, and playing drums, and I was really into like the second invasion of the British invasion, like with the you know suffice to say, like Duran Duran or
The new wave stuff.
yeah, all the bands that came over then,
The Cure.
that period.
Yeah.
Cure, well, not yeah, the Cure. I like that one album that they did, but I was more into like level 42.
Okay.
Man, let me see, Bowie, of course,
Bowie.
Bowie, Talking Heads. I mean,
Yeah.
I was in so yeah. Those were my influences.
Gotcha.
Like our influences, but we merged it with funk, with like
Mm.
I mean, chank guitar, and I wish I had some of the reels now. I mean, we should,
Yeah.
but
I was just thinking, it's like, is that still around? I'd love to hear that. Hey, James, let me
yeah,
get some of these questions from
okay,
the chat here because it's been 20
yeah,
minutes since they dropped the
I
question, and I feel
yeah, yeah,
bad.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what's
I
one
should have warned you.
It's all no, man. It's all good. You know what? I appreciate people
How
who
much
are.
time do we have?
Well, we are. I try to keep it around 2 hours, but I don't mind extending out. But maybe we'll jump a little ahead on the timeline here, so we can kind of catch up to now. But so what's one moment you'll never forget, and one moment that you won't forget, and that you cherish. Sorry,
Oh wow,
I know there's
there's a
probably a
lot of them.
lot,
I
but
mean,
what's
you mean
one?
live?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really specify. Wild but sober didn't really specify. So let's just keep it musically. What's like a crowning achievement that you cherish still?
Wow. Oh, well, I mean, in '79 and this is on YouTube too. We played the 1979 Grammy Awards.
Oh,
I
nice.
was with Chuck Mangione. We played "Feel So Good" live on TV, and we were the number two single in the world in the U.S. And we lost. We lost. We were in the final for the Song of the Year, and we lost to Billy Joel. I love you just the way you are. But that was a memorable night to remember. It was an amazing
Billy
night. That was one of
Joel.
actually, and then I can say the performance at the live at the Hollywood Bowl. Live at
Mm.
the Hollywood Bowl with Chuck Mangione, 20 years old, playing at the Hollywood Bowl, sold
Wow.
out 20,000 people. That was one of the most amazing
Wow.
performances ever. And it's crazy because now, I mean, practically every day in like the last the last 10 years, I've been getting mail from people still talking about that performance. So
Wow.
I think that was one.
And
That's
that was
one.
an album that you guys released too, right? Like I think isn't
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
live
it's
album you
out.
guys?
It's out.
Yeah.
Go to Spotify and check it out. It's there. It's
This
there.
is
You know.
this is another question from Wild but Sober. What's your favorite food?
Oh, that's sweet, man. Anything. Let me tell you.
He said that's
Now
sweet.
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the bullshit version. Man,
Please.
I love barbecue ribs and hog maws
Oh,
and
okay.
hog butt. Now I just told you a lie because I'm a now I've since converted to vegan, but I've been a
Oh well.
vegetarian for wow 20 years. So that's vegetarian veggie food. Anything veggie, I'm there. You
Nice.
know,
Yeah,
because I
man.
swore I stopped eating. You know, when I joined Chuck Mangione, when I first started touring, you know, before I was 21, I was 18, 19, 20. I used to eat, order room service and eat hamburgers, you know,
Yes.
hamburgers and steaks and all that shit. And had a really bad experience one night with my sister and a girlfriend of hers at her house, and where I got this abdominal cramps, and they were like bending over like cramps.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh my god. A few days later, I read this article, and I think it was in the Los Angeles Times, and they would like it was if God was talking to me. Like he said, they had this article about the USFD.
Hmm.
You know what you put in food, what the back like what they put in the food.
Yeah.
And I read that, and I like got scared, totally scared. I
That's
said,
gross.
no more hog,
Yeah.
no more hog, no
Yeah.
more steaks, no more hamburgers. And that's
Wow.
when I was 22. I swore it off since then. So that's
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Wild but Sober is cheering because he is also vegetarian. His whole family's vegetarian. And to be fair, he's from India, so I think there's a
All
lot of
right.
vegetarian. I don't know why I even had to add that. That was so stupid. Anyway, he's
Oh, it's
Indian,
cool.
so you know he's
Is there any
vegetarian.
more? Is there any more questions?
There's no more questions from the chat, but I got plenty. You know what? I actually saw that you were friends with Corny Mims. Do you know Corny?
Oh wow. Yeah, I know Corny. You know, I remember when he was out there. He remember when I was out there, and
Well, he's been on the show
but I
before, and I was,
wow.
and do you know a Nissan Stewart too?
You never played who?
Nissan
What
Stewart.
did you say?
He's a drummer. He played with he was younger. He's not much younger, but
But
he's
who is he with?
you know
I know a
what?
lot of
He was producing with like he started getting out of the drumming and started producing with Timberland and Missy Elliott and I mean just a grip of people. So I mean he I don't know. He was just in the LA scene, so I was just curious. He's from a different generation than you, but I mean I was
Yeah,
just
but it doesn't mean
right.
anything.
No,
Hey,
you're
it
right.
doesn't
You're
mean
right.
it because
You're right. You're right.
all the I know all the young cats that are
Yeah.
out there now. You know, of course.
And
I
then
mean,
Bubby
it's not,
Lewis. I've talked to Bubby Lewis, who's he's from Flint, but he's out of L.A. But no,
mhm.
did you work with Corny? Did you know Corny? Did you have
No,
experience?
I met Tony when he was coming up, but I jammed with him. I think one night
Oh, okay.
I jammed with him.
Yeah, I just saw that
You
you're
know, I
friends on
remember when he was
Facebook.
coming up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, I mean, you know how Facebook works. You're friends with everybody, and you don't even know these people. You're like, I'm
Well, you
friends with
have
this.
to, yeah, yeah. But I know, you know, I indirectly, like I said, I remember jamming with him one
Mm,
time, and you know, we all know the same people. You know,
yeah.
it's all one big family, man. You know,
Because of
we all
time.
got to stick together, and help each
Yeah,
other. You
man.
know,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, that what I'm finding when I'm talking to you guys to the musicians who've been like in the business, it's
Hmm.
actually kind of a small. I mean, it's huge, but it's kind of a small group of people who a lot of times you're know each other. And it's just like how any scene is, I suppose. It's like you.
Right.
I mean, because you're operating on the top tier level, right? And that
Right.
it on its own is a scene, right? Like that top tier level of playing is a scene of its own self because there's only a few
Yeah.
people who are good enough to get there, or at least lucky
Yeah.
enough to get in that position. So, you know, whatever. I'm just saying stuff now, but
Hmm.
let's kind of jump ahead because I'd love to get into the Beastie Boys era here of your
Yeah.
career. How did that come about? How did you get? Because okay, first of all, you were on Check Your Head. You played on the
Yeah.
album, and
Yeah.
the first song on there is called Jimmy James. Is that a
Yeah.
coincidence?
Yeah. Yeah. But first of all, you're missing one of the most I say America's famous bands that never really we didn't.
Oh, please.
It
Well, I'm
crossed
sorry.
over into the mainstream. Mary's Danish.
Oh,
You ever
okay.
hear about Mary's Danish?
I have not. I see it's on your playlist.
Mary's Danish, dude. Mary's Danish was a cross between the B-52s and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, nice.
We toured with the Chili Peppers. We toured with Stan Ridgway, James Addiction. We were
Oh,
alternative
wow.
rock. They called us the alternative rock darlings. You need to pull out. Actually, there's a channel that
Mm.
our fans have put together for us on YouTube, Mary's Danish TV. You need to go on there and check it out.
Oh, wait. I
Definitely, and
can't
listen
play
to these
this. I was
songs.
going to play the song,
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah,
get pulled off of Twitch if I
yeah,
start playing copyrighted
yeah.
music. So I can't
So
play that. But
yeah,
okay, cool.
Mary's Danish, man. See, I crossed over, but after
Yeah,
I
because
went on
it's.
tour with Anita. I did the first tour with Anita Baker,
Uh
which
huh.
was a famous tour called the Rapture Tour.
Okay.
And
Nice.
Anita's from Detroit.
Yeah.
She grew up in Detroit. She started in Detroit. And Gary Glenn, who's also a Detroiter, he long passed on. Fantastic singer writer. He wrote the song Rapture for Anita.
Okay.
He grew up in Detroit. So I was with her for a year and a half, and then I went on to Jeffrey Osborne, not Ozzy Osbourne. Jeffrey is a soul crooner legend.
Okay.
It was with a band in the middle '70s called LTD,
Oh, okay. I know
and
LTD.
yeah, that's Jeffrey. Yeah, Jeffrey
Oh,
Osborne.
okay.
But
Okay. Okay.
he went solo. He went solo. It's his most famous, I think. I mean, worldwide song. He had two, but one is called "Baby Stay with Me Tonight."
Mm.
Baby, stay with me tonight.
Okay.
That and actually, Brian May from Queen played the guitar solo on that song. You need to
That's
check it out.
awesome. That is so
There's some
cool.
history here that everybody should know about.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I was with Jeffrey from 88 to 80, the beginning of 89, and then I left, and then there was this band out of LA, um, alternative rock band
Uh-huh.
called Mary Danish, and they were tearing it up in the LA scene,
Okay.
and got a major write up from like this famous rock critic, legendary rock critic out of LA, the LA Times, called Robert Hilburn. But they just couldn't, they wouldn't sign them, and they were being played on this world famous like rock radio station called K Rock. You
Yeah.
know about K
I
Rock?
do know about
Yeah.
K-Rock.
So K Rock was playing. They put out a compilation, and this one song on there was called "Don't Crash the Car Tonight" by
Okay.
Mary Danish. But it was like it was kind of like wow. I wouldn't say rockabilly, but it was a mixture of all this like new wave kind of swingy, funky, kind of song, and
Mm-hmm.
two female singers,
Okay.
and drums, and two guitars, drums, bass, and that song was in rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of interest from labels in LA at that time in
Oh, nice.
1989. I was signed to this management company at this, after I left Jeffrey Osborne, and they wanted me, they wanted to put me with Gina Shock, who was a drummer from the Go Go's.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted me to like she's a drummer too, but I was, like I said at that time, I started co-writing. I started co-writing with other people, so they put us together to write some songs for her. And then they said, well, I want you to tag along with us because we want to sign this band called Mary Danish. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go with you and help scout the band.
Yeah.
They were playing at Valley College, Valley College in the Valley, outside, over the hill in LA.
Yes.
And I saw these kids. I'm like, damn, they got something, but they're missing something. There's one thing,
They're missing
you know.
JBJ.
And so I saw the bass player. He had this
Yeah.
long hair, and man, he was thumbing the bass. He was like a young flea. He was
Gotcha.
I'm topping the bass. I'm like, you know what I said? I said, excuse me. You know what I said? I looked at him and I said, I'm gonna take that kid with the long hair, whacking the shit out of the bass, and I'm gonna take him and form my own band. That's the first thing I thought. I
I'm
said,
gonna
I
take.
need him on bass. He's all I need. And then I put some
You're
other
trying to
people around.
poach. That's tight. You're out there
Man,
trying to poach other
and then
places.
I went out of town. I had a makeup date with Jeffrey. I went out of town. I came back I ran to the. I went to the office. I said, are they playing? You know, when I had my time off, that's when I used to party and do my thing. You know,
Hey,
or you know,
that
go see other bands to play.
yeah, there
They
you
said,
go.
yeah, they're playing tonight. I said, I'm there. I'm there. So I went there and saw them again. I said, I really like this band, but you know, I mean, and then every time I see any band, and I'm watching the band, I'm like, what would I do if I was playing the drums, playing their music with them? I always put myself in that situation. It doesn't matter who it is. I've
Right.
always done that. Well, then a few days later, I'm sitting at home with my mom watching a Lakers game or something.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from my manager, and he said, James, it's an emergency. You need to get to this rehearsal studio right now. The drummer they had, they she left. She had replaced the original drummer that played on the record. They got rid of him. Then they got another drummer, but she wanted to play. She wanted to be a jazz drummer. She thought that the music was too like it was too soft for her, you know.
Mm.
But they said, hey, they have a live radio performance at 7 a.m. in the morning with K Rock. I'm like, oh my god. She said, they said, can you go there now? I said, yeah. So the fact that I scouted the band and I listened to the songs. So
Mm.
it was easy for me to catch on right away. I
Oh
didn't have
wow.
to hear nothing. I didn't have
Right.
to read any music or anything. I
Yeah.
knew what they needed. So you know, I came with it. You know,
Yeah.
I came exactly with it, and it just took it over the top. We played it next morning. Was 6 in the morning. We were on the radio station live. You know, and out in Hermosa Beach
Mm.
at the Red Onion restaurant, and there was this famous DJ from K Rock by the name of James Poor Man. They call him the Poor Man, and it was his favorite band. So we played a 30-minute set live on the radio at 7 in the morning, and after the performance, the girls singers, the girls that came over to me, the band huddle, we got in a huddle, and they said, "Well, what do you think, James? You know, JBJ." That's when they started calling me JBJ, and I said, "What do you think? Would you like playing with us?" And I said, "Yeah." And they like, "Oh my god!" And that's what started Mary's Danish. Mary's Danish for 4 years. We were the media darlings of
Ah.
rock alternative, and I mean, Rolling Stone magazine. We were in all the magazines,
Wow.
but we didn't like, you know, we didn't like sell out, and we were very. The girls wrote lyrics. We were very pro-choice at the time.
Mm.
We got all the students from the major universities at the time because that was, you know, Al Gore, Bush era.
Yeah.
We got all the kids to go out and vote. We encouraged. We were one of the first bands that started to rock the vote.
Oh,
Actually,
nice. Right
yeah.
on.
So we were involved. We were heavily involved in these type of things. You
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of
So
political
yeah. I
stuff
mean, you.
behind. And so what ended up
Yeah.
happening with Mary's Danish? Because I've never heard of Mary's Danish, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't. Obviously, you guys didn't go mainstream. What ended up happening? What do you think was
Well,
the cause of that?
we signed yeah. There's a couple of things. Like you need to hear the music, but the thing is, we were very eclectic.
Uh huh.
You know,
Right.
so we didn't really write
Ah.
like a hit sounding
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. I feel you.
We had a few. Our third album is the best album. That's the one that I recommended you listen to. Our last album, which was done in '93
What's it
or
called? What's the
'92,
last time? Is it American Standard?
yeah, American Standard. Check
Uh,
that album out. That was our last album, and then
okay.
we broke up after that. We split up in three. We split up into three different bands at the time.
Okay.
You know,
Mm.
that's what that was. I think I know that was our best album, but Don't Crash. I mean, it was amazing how it all came together. You know, after we did that, when I played that radio show, we got booked at the Club Lingerie, and that was a famous club in Hollywood on Sunset Strip,
Mm.
which later signed another famous group that came out of there that got signed after us by the name of Rage Against the Machine.
Hey, hey, watch
Okay,
out. Yeah.
so the thing is, management company got a hold of. There was a couple of 3 or 4 labels that wanted. They said now that I got in the band, you know, and most of the guys that were at at the labels at the time were a little older than me, but they remembered me from my Mangione days, and they knew who I
Oh,
was.
cool. Yeah.
They said JBJ is in the band now. Like, we need to go check these guys, check them out now. See how they
Yeah,
sound now.
yeah.
So they went down there, man. They came to the Club Lingerie. We played one show, and then we signed a contract literally after the show.
Wow.
There was a guy there, like that Chameleon Records, which was a subsidiary of Capitol Records.
Gotcha.
They had signed Johnny Hooker. There was a couple of other bands, alternative bands they signed before
Mm.
Johnny. They signed Johnny Hooker. They signed the drummer from not Deep Purple, from Ozzy.
Black Sabbath?
Um, Bill Ward, the famous drummer from Black Sabbath. He
Okay.
went solo,
Oh,
so they
okay.
signed him, and they signed Mary Stanish.
Oh,
So after
cool.
they signed us, then we got our first tour. We were touring with Dre, and then the second tour we went on was the Mother's Milk tour.
Oh, wow.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. We did the first leg of that tour.
Wait, is that?
We
But
played
that's
with
not your first encounter with Anthony Kiedis, right? Because I think I remember hearing the
no, it
story.
wasn't. Yeah, no, it
Can
wasn't.
you can you
And
run
that's
that
a story.
story?
That's another story in itself because now we go back several years. When I was 21,
Yeah.
um, my 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 Jewish brother had a store in Beverly Hills, right?
Hmm.
And every time off tour, I would go to the store and hang out. He had a picture frame store.
Okay.
And we had clients like Demi Moore and all these people would come by.
Yeah.
So one day I had my Beamer, my souped up Beamer, brown and gold tires,
Yeah.
tinted windows, coming up
Yes.
to.
Hey.
And I walk in the park. I park my car. I go in and kick it with him. We might have smoked some, did something. I walk out to the car, and there's these two kids on bicycles. They had to be like 10, 11, 12 years old. And one had long hair, and I'm like, it's like so cute. I said, what's up? What you guys doing? Oh, we like your car. You got a beautiful car, man. How'd you get it? What do you do? And they start to ask all these questions. I'm saying, yeah, well, yeah, I'm a drummer. I'm on tour with this jazz guy, Chuck Mangione. And I just said something touched my heart and said, you guys want to go for hot dogs? You want to have hot dogs? Yeah. Because there was a diner around the corner where you could drive up. It wasn't Bob's Big Boy, but you could drive up, and put the tray on the window, and
Yeah.
you can order, hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever. So I said, hey, meet me around the corner. I'm gonna drive around the corner to this place, and I'll buy you guys hot dogs. So I did that. Talked to the kids, we bought them hot dogs, and that was in like 79 or 80. Dude, this is like 9 years later. When I went, now the day I went, I already know, we had just finished touring with Stan Ridgway. And we came back home, and then we were going to do the fall tour. So, you already know what you're going to do. You're going to meet where the bus is parked, and then you're going to drive. The first day was in the Redwoods up in past San Francisco.
Yes.
But it's with the Chili Peppers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we played one. No, we had played before that because then they said, oh, we're going to have you on the tour. We played.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a gig in L.A.
Okay.
But when I went to sound check that day, this kid walks up to me, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Yeah, like my bass player Wag, and he's amazing. Wag, Chris Wagner, we call him Wag. He introduced me to this kid, black hair. He's like, okay, well, this is he said, JBJ, this kid, this kid over here says he knows you. I said, oh yeah. He walks up, and this is Lewis. He said, hey, Lewis, what's up? Hey, it's JBJ. And he's like, yo, do you remember like one day there was these two little kids that came up to you? And you bought them hot dogs.
Yeah.
I said, and I like backed up and I said, yeah, my eyes got wide. I was like, yeah, who was that? That's me. And that singer up there, this kid, Anthony Kiedis, you bought hot dogs for us when we were 12 years old.
That is
I almost fell out. I'm like, what?
And those guys were
Small world.
huge
You
at the
never
time,
know.
right? I mean, at
You
that
never know,
time,
man. You never know.
yeah, you
Right.
don't. You don't.
You know.
Especially in a city like Los Angeles, it's like you
Yeah.
just don't know who you're running to. You don't know who people are going to become. It's like you hear stories
Yeah.
of executives abusing, the interns who end up being their boss one day because they end up rising through the
Right.
ranks and they're more talented or
Right.
whatever it is. And so there's always this sort of rule
Or
where,
somebody, yeah, somebody you bullied in high
yeah,
school.
yeah,
Especially growing up there.
yeah,
You never know. I
you
mean, you
never
could
know.
be. The next week they're like a star in an A movie. They're like they blew up. I mean, I've seen that quite a bit growing up in LA. So.
So then Mary's Danish. Then what ended up ending that? What was the final nail?
Well, what happened? Yeah, we were with Chameleon, and then our contract went out after 3 years. So we wanted to. We didn't even want to renegotiate with them. We wanted to go to a bigger label because it was
Mm,
only a independent label. So we
right.
wanted to go to something bigger, and we had a few offers.
Hmm.
So so during that period, you get wined and dined. You meet producers that you want to work with. They take you out to dinner. Blah blah. You meet the what they do is like they invite the whole band, like the labels will invite the band over to the A&R offices like they used to do, and they lay it all out for you. Whatever you want. Here they take you in the room, and you can like go into the library and pick out any CD you want, like that was ever made.
Wow.
Like you could just get a grab bag and so they got to schmooze you. They So it's fun, because you can play them all. Like, oh, we're gonna go to Capitol, then we're gonna go to like Warner Brothers, then we're gonna go to
Yeah.
Universal, and
Yeah. Let's get
and you
all the
know
free
what?
shit, son.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. We played them up. Yeah, hey. So
Yeah.
we decided. Now, what happened was there was an executive from EMI, and this guy named Jim Mazza. He was responsible for signing David Bowie there
No.
and the Red Hot Chili Peppers when they did their first album. He signed them, but
Okay.
he left, and another executive from A&M, I think David Kirschenbaum, he left, and they got somebody else, Jimmy Iovine or somebody.
Mm.
But I think he started his own thing, when he went that direction.
Yeah.
So they had a label, and there was some rich guy, rich mogul like Gamo Gube, this rich old man
Mm.
from Washington D.C. called Jim Robinson, and I forgot what he used to own, but he was he's a billionaire now, but he wanted to get into the music. He wanted to have a label, He wanted to invest in the music industry. So he started this company called Morgan Creek Records.
Okay.
Morgan Creek was a movie company,
Hmm.
an independent movie company
Okay.
before, but he wanted to start this. So we signed. They gave us all this money to sign with them, you know,
Nice.
and the money was great. But what happened was they didn't have the field marshals, what do you call it, the field marshals. They didn't have the proper promotion crew,
Okay.
in those days you had to, promote the album, in the
Right.
stores. You had to pay to get the what
So
do you
the
call it, the album, the flats in the window.
I see.
So they
Yeah.
had all this money, but they were investing it wrong into the wrong things.
Gotcha.
What we needed most was the promotion. So that it was good for the company. So I think he just probably did it for a damn write off or something, essentially. You
Yeah,
know.
I could see that. I could
And
see
then
that.
we changed management companies
Oh no. Is this where?
at the
Oh no.
time too. And then Peter Asher, Peter Asher,
Okay.
and he was responsible for the careers of James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt
Gotcha.
and Joni Mitchell later on, and he had what was the name? I can't remember the other band. It was an alternative band, but he signed us, and he's high. He's like British royalty,
Okay.
And we went with him, and so he got us on Tonight Show, and he got like Jan Winter from Rolling Stones, he
Yeah.
hang with us and audition us, and he put us in a lot of good places, high places, for a band of that type.
Right. Right.
And got us on tours, and I mean, we were challenged every time because at that time we were offered to go on the very first Lollapalooza tour,
Oh, nice.
and
Nice.
sponsored by, well, created by my boy, my brother Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction.
Yes.
But we elected, like their management company came to us, the band, because we were doing shows with them too, like 92, 93.
Mm.
They said, "Hey, you come with us, you come with us. We get you on the first Lollapalooza tour." I wish we had done that, but because the first one they had, I mean, they had Pearl Jam, and when they were hot,
Right.
Pearl
Yeah.
Jam, Living Color, Body Count, Ice T, all the bands that were hot there, and they put this festival together. I wanted to be in a guest. I didn't play, but
Mm.
I was a VIP. I
There
got a
you
chance
go.
to
There you
hang
go.
out with my friends, and
Hell yeah.
cheer them on. But we went with Peter Asher, and that's what we kind of stepped up as far as the level of business, because he was really well respected, and he could get us indoors that most of those other bands couldn't get into, is to be seen up here, on that level,
Yeah.
different vibes. But
So what ended
we
up being the actual end of the band?
they didn't, like I said, they didn't. The actual downfall was the record companies.
Uh,
The record company killed it for us because they didn't push, and they were saying, well, we didn't have a hit record to promote.
mm-hmm.
And at the same time, at that very same time in '93 was the birth of Seattle grunge rock.
Right. Right.
So that hit really big with David Geffen and Nirvana. That's what happened.
Right.
And then the Soundgarden came and Pearl Jam. So that kind of knocked us. They were the front runners at the time.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
after that, the girls really didn't want to. We didn't want to sell out in that way. We
Mm.
could have written a song like a pop song and crossed over, and we didn't want to. We were really, like, really true to us. Really true to ourselves,
Yeah.
and we were true to ourselves, and that's what happened.
That's
But
what
then after
happens.
we broke together in we broke up in April '93, and what
Mm.
happened after that was that we split up into three different bands, and I want to tell you about another album that I played on with another group. I co led a band. One of the guitar players from Mary Danish, David King. Wag played bass on the album. Myself and the ex guitar roadie guitar tech for the Chili Peppers at the time. He was with them for several years from the beginning. A dude by the name of Robbie Allen.
Okay.
He was a very fine guitarist, and he could sing and play, and he had some original songs. So the three of us got together, me and David and Wag and Robbie, and said, "Hey, let's form this band. Let's form a new band," and we called it Rob Rule.
Oh, okay.
And Robbie Allen, Rob Rule. But the reason why we got that name is that Robbie used to, like, at that time, Lenny Kravitz came out, and that's another story too. He's family to me too. I haven't gone into that part of it, but he had this song. His first hit was "Let Love Rule."
Mm.
You got to let love rule.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
one day Robbie was like messing around, and he said, "You got to let Rob rule." And
And
so that's
y'all
the
are like,
name.
that's it. That's it.
So we said that's the name of the band, Rob
Yeah.
Rule.
Hey, James.
So what
Oh,
happened?
please go ahead.
Yeah. What
No.
happened was we
Mm.
auditioned. No, the same thing happened. We got a gig at that Club Lingerie,
Okay.
and we played one gig, and one of the A&R guy was there from Mercury Records, and he signed this right. He said, "You guys got the contract." Bam.
Wow.
We played a show. We kicked ass, and it was over from there. So that's what
Holy shit!
happened.
Like, how do you? It's so interesting how you're just in the right places at the right time. I mean, being in LA helps, but like, and having
Right.
talent helps. But I also feel like you've had like, do you? How much do you attribute to luck? to your career? Do you feel like you're lucky, or do you feel like this is something that you've definitely earned? That I mean, I'm not saying you haven't earned it, but I'm saying that there's definitely people who are great musicians who go to LA who will never get out and never are able to go. Those are things that happen, and so
Right.
when you hear from people who are successful, they're like, it was luck, but I had the talent to back it up as well. So, and which,
Right.
so I'm just curious, how much do you think that's a tribute to luck? Because you just seem to be in the right places at the right time a lot.
Yeah, it's a tribute. Well, the main thing is, it's a tribute. Like I said, told you before about our lives are pre-written.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Destiny. Okay,
Destiny. You believe in
so it's
destiny?
I was born with the talent.
Yeah.
I was born with the talent,
Yeah.
spiritual. Yeah, but yeah, you have to be in the right. You have to be in the right place at the right time. But also, it's who you know, and it's the bridges that you don't burn. It's the relationships you have with people.
Right.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Like right now, hey, I'm gonna be like at the retirement age in about 3 or 4 years, okay? And I look back on my whole life and career, it's like, well, wow, it's like, I mean, and a lot of those things that happened, pre, it was kind of predetermined. I dreamt a lot of those things, like meeting certain people. It's
Yeah.
the people that I thought about and vibe with, like anybody that I know. I know a lot of legends and people that I know. I never worked with them before, but I met them while I was coming up too,
Yeah.
and they took a liking to me. Like, for example, the late great Rick James. Rick James.
Hey.
I met Rick James. I met Rick James on the Dick Clark show. We were doing the 1979 New Year's Eve special.
And that's with Chuck Mangione.
Yeah, with Chuck Mangione, and
Yeah.
like I can tell you, this is what happened. I mean, I remember when his first album came out, and he had this song called "You and I." You and I, you and I,
Mm.
bum, 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 bum. You and I. That was his first hit. But remember that station I told you about, Q102, where they played like singles off the album.
Yes.
I heard the single. They had Mary Jane on there too.
Yeah.
But I heard that song, and the first time I heard it, that was his first single, "You and I." And I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was with Mangione off tour, but I heard it on the radio when I was off tour, and I'm like, wouldn't you know it? 5 months later, I'm on the same stage with Rick James on TV, and I didn't know how he was gonna react when he met me, but he saw me play in sound check, and he like, oh my God, he went nuts. He like, dude, he just embraced me. He like, man, he told his drummer, I want you to play like James, like him, just like him. So that's how we became friends. And he's always, I mean, he had some, we say troubles later on and off stage or whatever later on. But every time I saw him, he was like family to me. He like genuinely loved me. So
Yeah.
we were cool like that. So, but it was somebody I thought about before, like even Chuck Mangione, and like his kind of brother he grew up with, the great legendary drummer Steve Gadd. I mean, I was listening to Steve before Steve Gadd on drums, playing on all on everything. He was on CTI records. He was playing, Van McCoy. Every artist. He was like one of like the top session drummer in New York City,
Hey,
or Harvey Mason,
James, I'm so
L.A.
sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you, man. Twitty's taking off, or she's falling asleep. It's 5 a.m. for her, so or
I know.
probably
We need it. Yeah.
no.
How many hours?
Oh, we're
Tell
two
her.
in. We're two in.
Tell her I love her. Be safe. God bless. Tell her I
She
love her, and hopefully I'll get to see her soon.
she could hear you, man. So you just told her. So
All right.
she's just told. Hey,
All
man,
right.
just because we
I
are.
want. I want her.
Let's
I
see.
want to introduce her to somebody one day that I know that, like, she reminds me of one of my fam members. I'm not gonna
Mm.
call. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to cause a riot on the phone on the podcast.
All right, I don't know. I don't
Tell
know
her.
who's.
Tell her. Is she there still?
Yeah, she's about to take off. She's laughing at what you just
Okay.
said.
Tell her. Hey, send me a message on Messenger, and then I'll tell you secretly who it is. Okay.
There you go.
Bye,
See,
baby.
C20, yeah, get up in the DMs and he'll let you know. Because we are kind of going long here. I can. Do you mind if we kind of skip around a little more? Because I'd love to talk about the Beastie Boys and of course Crazy
Yeah, you want to
Town.
get to the Beastie Boys? I
Well,
know.
I mean, I like that. I'm a
No,
fan.
wait.
Please,
I'm sorry.
no,
We're
no.
we're at the Beastie Boys now
Okay,
because this is what happened. I can go right into it because
please.
WAG. Now, what happened was I lived in Laurel Canyon too, like twice in my life. In 1981, I lived in Laurel Canyon, and in 1990,
Mm,
91, I lived there for 3 4 years. Okay, across the street from where I lived on Wonderland Avenue,
mm,
right across the street from there is an elementary school. You know, and
okay.
at the time I was living there, way up the hill there, Johnny Depp was living there,
Uh,
and down my down the street neighbor was Christina Applegate, who was doing,
uh, Married with
love and
Children.
marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was doing it then, so she was young. She was dating Anthony Kiedis at the time too. And
Oh,
around the
not
corner was
bad.
was Ad Rock. A couple of the Beastie Boys lived around. But
Mm.
every Saturday morning, we used to all go to the school, the elementary school, and play hoops.
Oh, cool.
So I would we would meet there, and we would like get on two, and then like a lot of people would come by. Flea would come over and play. Flea, we would all play ball. Like I mean, they were pretty good. We're all, we're all good.
Yeah.
So what now? The crazy thing about this, going back to what I just told you about me sitting, putting out the vibe and connecting that way with the people I love. I mean, enjoy. Now at that time, I was listening um, to Paul's Boutique.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Paul? And I
Of
thought
course.
that album was great. And
Yeah.
this was after You Gotta Fight, for
For
your
your
right.
right. Yeah.
They made a lot of money on that. They were
They
living in
certainly
in,
did.
in Brooklyn and living in New York, and then they all moved out to LA.
Mm.
Because they blew up.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's sunny and nice.
So a couple of times, we got together and played ball. So one Saturday morning, I go out there and we played a match. I think Mike D was on my team, and Ad Rock, and I kind of hit it off.
Mm.
And I think Wag, my bass player from Mary's Danish, he introduced me to Mike D,
Mm.
and because they went back to him and told him, yeah, we met your drummer, we played basketball with him, you know, uh, and you think he would want to play on our record,
Yeah.
and he said yeah. So one Saturday morning, I went there to go play ball, and then after the match, they come up to me like, yo, I mean, we're getting ready to do an album. I said, yeah. He said, we want you to play percussion on our album. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, come, we want you on our album. I said, you're damn right, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
So that's how I got in. And then at the same time, I became Mike D's private drums teacher. Actually, I
Oh.
taught him. Yeah, I was teaching him on the drums. So
Wow.
he took like 3 or 4 lessons from me.
Yeah.
And we started doing. We did the record, man. It was so cool because they had a place in Atwater, which is toward Griffith Park. It's a little town, and they had their own. Like it was a really cool loft that they had. You go in there. They had a recording studio, a big hardwood floor, and then they had a skate ramp, a wooden skate ramp.
Of
and
course.
you know what else they had? And you know what else they had? A basketball
Bah.
court too. Like all, and then a stage. They had the stage with the drums and keyboards and
Oh,
everything that
nice.
like set up, and they
Yeah.
had everything was set up. And I never will forget this. I remember playing, like the last song on the album, on that album was called, Namaste,
Mm.
Namaste.
Yes.
Yeah, with my late dear brother Adam Young.
Yes.
He wrote
R.I.P.
that. So how that happened was we're playing a 2-on-2 match.
Yeah.
And I used to hang with Ad Rock because he liked to smoke. Man, we had a little doobie or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We finished playing. I took a break, took a puff, whatever. And then, Keyboard Money Mark, their keyboardist,
Uh huh.
he was on my team. So we're sitting there, right, after our game, just trying to chill. He walks over to the keyboard by himself. He walks over there He starts playing this riff. You can hear it when you listen to the song. You hear how it came together. He walks over to the keyboard, starts playing. He starts playing this groove, and like I turn around, I hear it. I'm like, damn! I just like walked over there, like some force just took me to the drums, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Just walked over there, and I sat down and started playing this groove,
Mm.
and then one by one, we all walked over there. You know, Ad Rock, he grabbed the guitar, and Yonk grabbed the bass, and we had that's how that song was written.
Wow.
And all the other songs, I played on 7 songs. Pow and Jimmy Jam, I thought was written about me, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's reference to. I think it may be partly, but it was a reference to Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay.
It's about
Jimmy
Jimi Hendrix, but
James.
there were some things in there that it was, kind of like they had thrown me in there a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
too. It was about Jimmy Hendrix when he played with the Curtis King,
Oh,
so
cool,
that's the
cool.
main reference.
I
But it was great. Yeah,
no
go
go
ahead.
no no you go ahead. I just
I played. Oh, I played on like I said, 7 songs.
mm-hmm.
If you have if you have the CD, I don't know what it says on Trident. What's the Trident? See, that's the thing that I missed too about album covers. Like on
Yes.
Spotify, but they don't. I mean, they don't list the musicians. They should
Right.
have a thing, but I think it's on Jay Z's company. They have it. What's the
Oh,
other?
Def Jam.
Tribal. The other Spotify.
Golly, what is
Try,
that
try,
called?
Trident.
Title.
Title. On Title, they do list who plays on the album.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's what
that's
I heard.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, and
Actually, I'm going to switch over. Spotify was started here in
yeah. Oh yeah, in
Stockholm,
Sweden. That's
Sweden.
right. That's right. You guys brought
I'm,
us
you know,
the Spotify.
yeah. So, but yeah. So, yeah, I played on 7 songs. But if anybody out there has the CD, you will see the credits on there, and they wrote on the credits, James Bradley Jr. plays all that, and they list all the numbers, like
I
7 songs,
I didn't.
and everything I played. Because I played a lot of Latin percussion on the record. I
I
played
see.
congas, bongos, I played
Oh,
timbales,
Timbalito. Yeah, hell yeah.
timbalitos, hierros,
Hey man, yeah,
yeah,
well, that's also.
Jaimito.
But you also toured with them as well, didn't you? Didn't you do a little
Yeah,
touring with
I
them?
toured. I toured it. Yeah, in '92. Now I was still with Mary Danish. Remember, I'm still with
Mm-hmm.
Mary Danish, but we had done a tour. No, I was no. Yeah, our tour was going to start in July of '92, in the summer of '92 in America.
Uh-huh.
So I had a whole month off. I was off for the whole month of June in 1992 in the summer. So they said, hey, their guy wasn't able to go. They had a Latin percussionist. He wasn't able to go. So they said, JB, come tour. So I toured Europe. My second time in Europe was with them. I toured in '92, the summer '92. The,
Nice.
the the ironic thing was that we didn't even come to Scandinavia then. So we didn't come to Sweden at
Yeah.
that time. So
Yeah. That's
so,
cool, man. How were
but it
those
was a great
guys?
it was a great tour.
How what I mean, like when you look back in those times with those guys, like how do you see them? What how were they? What were their personalities like? I mean they seem like cool dudes
They
and they
were
seem like you guys got along great, but I mean, what was
yeah
your
they were just that. They were really low key.
mm,
Very low key, laid back.
no.
I mean, they could be a little bit funny sometimes. I think during their wildest times was probably during the first album. They were
Yeah.
really like out of control then, but they matured a lot. They
Yeah.
matured a
Well, they
lot.
started playing instruments too, right? Like they're playing
Yeah,
their own
right. But
instruments and stuff.
yeah,
So,
they were playing before that. Before
right.
actually, what happened? How it was told to me by them was that they started off as a punk rock band
Yeah.
before they became rappers.
Right, right.
That's what happened. And this concept for the Check Your Head album was right up my alley because they knew what roots I came from,
Mhm.
and they were kind of like their favorite band. They were kind of a model of the Meters from New Orleans.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Meters.
Oh, yes, the
That's
meters.
where that's where they draw. That was their inspiration. You see, they
Yeah.
wanted to
Oh,
be.
okay. Yeah, because
That's who they got.
they even did that instrumental album around Check Your Head
Right.
too, and that it
Yeah.
was all
Right.
like funky meter type stuff. And Money Mark was
Right.
the organist on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Money Mark. Yeah.
Ah, he
Yeah.
kills. He's a murderer, man, assassin. Well,
He
that's
was a good
awesome,
bad.
man.
Bad,
I love
bad.
that. So, and then I know I'm sure you have stories for days, but just in the for the sake of time, do you mind going into how you sort of started linking up with Crazy Town, because that was another, and was there any significant in between Beastie Boys and Crazy Town,
Mansion.
was there a significant a group that you were playing with that before
Okay.
you went into Crazy Town?
Well, I'll tell you what exactly happened was like, I mean, so this I toured with them in the summer of '92, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and but then I went back to Mary Spanish, in the fall because we had tours and stuff to do. We broke up in '93. We started the group Rob Rule. I was in the band Rob Rule,
Right.
and that band was together for only like 2 years. We were together '94, '93 to '95. But we toured with. Remember the group from Seattle called
Yes.
Candlebox.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
So we
Yes,
were
I.
doing. Rob Rule was touring with them. We toured with them,
Nice.
and we did some good shows. We toured all just in America.
Mm-hmm.
Then we broke up in '95, and at the end, like the fall of '95, when we got released from our contract, we were about to do our second album, which I thought was really cool. But I was told you before, I was like really really smoked out at
Right.
that time. But I
Right.
was showing up for showing up for my gigs and showing up for sessions and playing my heart with my whatever my heart and soul into it.
Right.
But our last the second producer, the guy that produced our second album, was Garth. You know who that guy was? The
Garth.
guy that wait, yeah, Garth.
I
Garth
doubt.
was the producer. Garth was the dude that produced the first Rage Against the Machine
Ah,
album.
gotcha. Gotcha.
So we hired him to do our second album, and then they put it on the shelf. They dropped us after that. They didn't release it. I'm still trying to get to that damn they call it not the master, but what was those little discs we used to have? They put it on disc.
Records, CDs. Um, I'm not sure.
Hard just I'm still trying to get there right
Hard.
now, but we tried to. I'm still trying to get them because there were some great songs on there.
Yeah.
They didn't even press it at all.
Yeah.
They didn't press it.
Well, that's a
But
bummer.
so then I went into yeah. Then that was like the fall, right before the fall of '95, and then that's when I went into I joined the program. At that
Yeah,
point.
man. You got your shit together.
Uh,
So then that producer is who linked you to Crazy Town?
then like
Oh.
well, what happened was like in '96. Well, actually, in my first 9 months clean and sober,
Mm.
I went to a jam one night in LA at the at the Big Potato, and I saw my old friend Teddy Zigzag. Now Teddy was the organist with Guns N' Roses,
Oh, nice.
but I knew him. Check this out. I knew him 15 years before that because I used to sit in with his band when I was on tour. And me and my old buddy Donald Griffin, we used to go to all the Red Onions and jam with the bands, house bands, and
Yeah.
chase girls or whatever. And he said, "Hey man, how you doing? I haven't seen you in like 10 years. Yeah, I'm here." So he said, come back, because I want you to meet somebody. So I went like the next Tuesday, and there's this guy with a top hat on and this hair with over his eyes, and I said, "That's Slash."
Yeah.
So he said, "Yeah." So we jammed. I was jamming with them. They called me up and he started asking everybody, "Who's that dude, man? I want to play with him. That's
Yeah.
JBJ." So I went out. I mean, I knew him when he started, but I didn't hang with Guns N' Roses. But I remembered them when they started in Hollywood. they were on tour all the time. But then I remember, then he called me over to the table and said, "Hey man, sit down, talk." And then he said, next time when I go out, I want you up on drums with me. I want you to play with me. I said, "Cool, my pleasure, brother. I've been
Yeah.
waiting to meet you a long time.
You're Slash,
So we went
bro.
up,
Sure.
we went up there, and played, and then afterwards he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Dude, I just got, I just told him I just got clean and sober, blah blah blah. I'm not playing with anybody now. Um, this was like 90, yeah, 96. So he said, well, I was off the road for a year and I was going to meetings 24/7. I was going to 4 meetings a day, every single day
Hmm.
in the Hollywood group. My home group was in Hollywood, and then I transferred over to the Valley, Studio City. I was going to meetings. That's all I did,
Right.
go to meetings and maybe, I was recording on the side like I did before. And then he said, yeah, well, man, Marshall Guitars wants to sponsor me. They want me to play the Budapest in Hungary, the Budapest. They want me to kick off the Budapest Rock Fest. And I'm like, oh wow, I
Oh,
got it.
cool. That was
So
a
I
George
want you.
Harrison thing? Was that the George Harrison thing?
No, 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 no. It was at this time Slash had just left Guns N' Roses too.
Oh, wow.
He had just left Guns N' Roses, so he was,
He was looking for
he doesn't
something
like
new.
sitting. He doesn't like sitting around. He's
Yeah.
a big fan of the blues. He loves the
Well,
blues.
obviously, the way
So
he plays.
that was our gimmick when we played all the blues songs, all the Muddy Waters and
Yeah.
Freddie King, and man, we put this all star band together.
Yeah.
Teddy Zigzag was on organ, me on drums and background vocals. This kid Bobby Schneck on guitar, and we had a kid from Sweden actually on bass.
Nice.
Johnny Graparek, and he had just he just moved from Sweden, and I had played with him locally before that, so I already knew him. We had another thing going. He was a part of,
Right.
and so we played the Budapest Rock Fest in Hungary, flew over and did the show, and it was so great. We rehearsed before we left. We rehearsed one day before, and we put this show together, like cover like blues classics, because I didn't know that Slash was such a big blues fan. He was playing Muddy Waters, and we did all the great blues classics. And we threw in My Mama Said, from Lenny Kravitz. He played on that for Lenny with Lenny. So he threw that song in, and we used to end our show with. Um, the Bob Dylan song. What was it? Knocking on heaven's door. We used to always end the show with that.
Yeah. Oh, why not? I mean, give them what they
It
want. The
was,
fans wanted
but
that, right?
the thing is, he would always, it was so great. It was a fun band.
Yeah.
He just wanted to do it for fun. And he would give me a solo. Everybody would walk up stage. I would do my thing.
That's tight. Hell
Like
yeah.
we would kill it. And then, so when we were on the plane back to America, I said, dude, bro, we need to keep this going. I said to him, I was in his ear all the time. He would always sit with me and we'd always talk,
Yeah.
and I was telling him, man, we need to keep this going. Let's see if we can keep this going. So we wound up putting like a 10-day tour together.
Oh,
And the name
cool.
of the band was called Slash's Blues Ball.
Nice. That blues ball.
Yeah. And there's a clip on YouTube. If you write in Slash's Blues Ball 96 at New York City, you will see us playing with the late great Les Paul.
Oh,
Les Paul jammed with us in New York.
blues.
The Les Paul. He
Yeah,
came up on stage and played with us.
the
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
dope. The
guitar.
the guy behind the guitar.
Right,
That's tight.
exactly. So yeah, that's on YouTube. So
Yeah,
check it out.
I'm checking this out. So okay, then let's get into Crazy Town, and then I want to talk about your time after Crazy Town because you've had a career after that as well. But how did you get linked up with those guys, and how did that play out? I saw some. I actually love that interview that you did with
Shifty.
Shifty, because it definitely it sounds like you guys were
Clarified some things.
well, yeah, and plus, like, it was really interesting to sort of see him reflect on it and be like, oh man, I was out of my
Right.
mind, and then because you guys were talking about getting a sober bus and getting a party
Right.
bus, and I
Yeah.
was talking to my wife, I was like, what a waste of money, but like. But then when you think about it, you lose more money if Shifty doesn't show up to the gig or if he dies, right? So if he
Right. Exactly.
doesn't, you're gonna lose more money if the gig doesn't
Not a
happen.
waste. It's not a waste. Hey, it was what was needed. It's not a waste of
I'm
money.
sorry. I
So
shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
I apologize.
but
But
some
when I
people who don't. Yeah, but I understand like where you're coming from when you say. I mean,
I'm thinking
I'm
about
just
budgets,
saying
man. I'm thinking about budgets and
other
money.
people.
You know what I'm
Right, right, right.
saying?
Yeah.
Shit, because the
But
rock
the
industry used.
casual,
Yes,
yeah, a regular person wouldn't know that though. They would
of
say the same.
course.
Oh, what a waste of money. They would say the same thing. But it
Yeah.
was what was needed, and it was because of me,
Yeah.
because I demanded that. I
Right.
demanded to our management company that yo, this is what we need,
Yeah.
because they were worried, they were concerned too.
Yeah.
There was a lot on the line. Is he going to make it?
Right.
Because what happened was the tour before that we got kicked off because he had a crack. He cracked out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was sad. That was crazy.
Of
We got
course.
kicked off by Sharon Osbourne, and so we came back from
Oh,
that.
was that
We came,
Ozfest?
well, I'm not even getting away, but see, I don't went ahead. But let me tell you how I got with Crazy Town. The thing
Sure.
happened. What happened was after the Slash thing, you know, I played with them. They got somebody else. I mean, I did the 10 shows, and then another drummer came in and replaced me. And
Hmm.
the thing is, too, like I'm gonna tell this to you because you're partly sober, but the thing is, when you have to imagine this too, like when you're in the industry and you get your reputation, they know you for so long as what you were when you party,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
Then when you let that life go, then some of those people, they don't even like want you. They don't even call you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you with them because they're still out there. They're
Yeah.
still getting effed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they
Totally.
don't want like. So that's what kind of happened with me and Slash.
Ah.
I
Yeah.
was the only one sober in the band.
That's tough,
And it
man.
wasn't. It wasn't him. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my bro now. We
Yeah.
we we, we hooked up like 10 times since I've been here in Sweden. Every time he comes here, I'm with him. So,
That's awesome,
you
man.
know. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
No.
but that's the thing. Some guys, if they won't even have you in the band, or you can't play with certain artists if you ain't getting high.
Yeah. If you're
If
not
you're not,
partying with us, yeah.
and we're not even talking about the sex thing because I'm all three. I'm a love, sex, love, drug, and sex addict.
Hey, man.
So
It
we're not
all
even
goes
here, not
together.
there yet. So
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, then you're not, you're not welcome to be in our clique
Yeah.
or crowd or
And you
whatever.
know what? That happens on a small scale too. I mean, I've had that just my personal self where you have your friends
It's
like, "Come on, man. Well, you just one night. We're just going to party." Oh, whatever. And then they stop calling you and you become the boring guy. And that's
right,
fine. I'm a father. I'm married. I don't give a shit about that life anymore. It's like
right.
I am so happy with just being clear-headed, but I know exactly what you're saying on, on a civilian scale, but I mean, I can
But that's
imagine.
but that's on that level
Of
too.
course, it is on
You
that
think that
level.
it's no, seriously. A lot of people don't realize that shit,
Yeah,
but
man. Well, that's how you
it's
get pulled back in, and that's why they say it's like you gotta take an assessment of who you're hanging out with, right? Like that's part of it.
oh yeah,
It's like you need to take a self-assessment of who you're surrounding yourself with because that definitely influences on who you are. And if you're hanging around a bunch of fucking crackheads, guess what? If you're addicted to crack, you're probably gonna smoke fucking crack. I mean, like I was trying to quit
that's right.
heroin, and all my roommates were in their room, fucking shooting, boosting, and I'm sitting in my room shaking and fucking shitting myself. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Like everybody else in the whole house is fucked up, and you
Right.
know that the thing that can make you feel better for that moment, the thing that makes all the pain go away for that moment is just sitting in
Yeah.
the other room, and they were more than happy to be like, "Here, bro," Yeah, man, it's a cycle, and people get caught in it all the time, and it's really sad. But it's life, like you say, it's life. So you were able to So you ended up getting with linking up with the Crazy Town
Yeah.
after the Slash thing because you're just looking for another band. I mean, how did you?
Well, what happened. Let me add this to it before.
Please.
There's another little bridge that comes before I get to Crazy Town. Now
Okay.
that was like with Slash. It was '96. Now '97. I was supposed to. They were going to do some more dates, and I didn't go out with them in
Right.
January of '97. We were supposed to play, and that really kind of like, oh man, it was a bummer because I wanted to play the NAM show for the first time, because I have sponsors too.
Yeah.
I'm sponsored by 4 or 5 different companies, so that was a drag. So whatever, but this is what you learn in starting a life of total sobriety, especially in this industry. You learn these things. But
Yeah.
it's all about, like, the main thing is God doesn't give you more than you can handle, and He's gonna clear it for you. He's
Mm.
gonna make a way for you to get to where you need to be, and
Right.
that's what happened with me. Guess who called? Like, okay, so that was January of '97. Guess who called me? I wake up one morning, and at that time I'm a manager of a recovery house
Wow.
in San Fernando Valley. I was a recovery manager. I was a manager of this man. We bought this mansion in not Pasadena, but in San Fernando Valley, right?
Mm.
And we turned it into a recovery home.
Wow.
You know. So what happened? One Saturday morning, it's always on a Saturday morning, right? I,
Yes.
I check my no, I don't know if I no yeah I check my voicemail. I had a voice machine, but it wasn't a portable one,
Yeah.
electronic.
Yeah.
And I hear this voice say, "Man, where you at? Where are you? I got Charles Meeks. I got Grant Geisman. Now all we need is you. I got some dates. What are you doing? Call me back."
Oh,
It
Uncle
was Uncle Chucky.
Chucky. Uncle Chucky. He's back.
So Uncle Chucky called me back, and he saw me actually in '93. I did a few dates with him, and I was zombie cracked out at the
Gotcha.
time.
Yeah.
And I saw one of my heroes. I was in Buffalo, New York one night, and one of my heroes was up on stage playing jazz trumpet, and he was out. He was like out, and I saw that before me. It was like I saw him, and I didn't want to see him that way.
Yeah.
So that was God. Just I mean, my higher power was with me then, and he was like showing me, like, this is how you could end up if you continue down this road. That's going to be you. And
Yeah.
he could already play. I mean, he blew out his lip. This guy I was talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I looked up with Uncle Chuck, and '97 was the 20-year reunion of the Feel So Good band,
Gotcha.
and we got everybody kind of like back together except for the saxophonist. Jerry Nye was his first saxophone player, and sadly to say, we lost Jerry 10 years ago, in a plane crash, and he was on his way to a Manjoni gig,
Oh my
actually.
God. Jeez Louise.
So, but anyway, it was great playing with him. I met him, and we played. So I went back to the band, and so that was the 20-year reunion of this Feel So Good band. So that's how I went back to Chuck from like 2.5 years, almost 3 years, '97 to '99. Well, what happened was all this stuff seems to happen at the same time. With my life in Hollywood growing up. Now I recall, and oh no. So what happened was I was coming off a tour with Uncle Chucky. It was in '98, and I lived right actually behind the Hollywood Bowl at the time at a friend's place, and he introduced me to this guy named Brett Mazer, which is Epic. Brett
Okay.
Brett Mazer.
The
Now at that
producer.
time, yeah, at
Yeah.
that time he was producing other
Uh-huh.
artists. As a matter of fact, he played drums for Bev DeVoe, and he
Okay.
produced Madonna track. He was producing a lot of major artists at the time. He was pretty hot at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I met him. He came by the house, and I met him, and my friend and I, Steven Constantino, we were working on an album with one of our other friends that was in recovery by the name of Billy Worth. Billy Worth was in the Lost Boys movie, and he was in a movie with
Mm.
Whoopi Goldberg, and Drew Barrymore. I forgot the name of the movie, but they actually 12 stepped him, and they had an intervention meeting with him
Oh wow.
with Billy, but Billy got clean after me, so and some
It's coming through like an EDM song.
that's how I met Epic, and Epic came. And it was Think Fast and a couple other songs, but it was just Epic and Shifty
Okay.
on this demo with the music,
Uh-huh.
this record, like loops and all that. Brett knows how to do all that. And I heard the 3 songs, and the first thing I thought was like, in my mind, I'm saying, I didn't say this out loud to him, but I'm saying, damn. I said, damn, they trying to sound like the Beastie Boys. So he asked me like the first time, and I said no. I said they asked me, hey man, I'm trying to, he said they had another drummer who was kind of a famous punk rock drummer, DL or something. He was a brother, a black guy. He was a famous. I think he played with one of the famous punk bands. But he was a brother, but they wanted him, but he didn't want no parts of it at all. They asked him again, and he said, "Yeah, something happened with him." So then I went on tour again, came back, and he said, "James, he came back. I need to meet with you again. This is getting serious, with Sony."
Yeah.
And then he played. This is our new track. We need to start. What I want to do is put a band together, and then we learn these songs, and then they're going to pay for a showcase. Sony Music is going to pay for a room for us, to we, for the showcase."
Right.
So then I thought about it. Then at that time, I had to tour because I had a son, a newborn child, and I wasn't married, but
Mm.
I was had to pay child support,
There you go.
which became some other shit later on. But anyway,
Mm.
he came a third time. I listened to the track and I liked it. I said, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So we got together with Rusty Peak, myself, and Doug Miller, Fatal Delay, the bass player. So it was just us three and Epic first. And we were in a room, playing some old beat up drums. We rehearsed the songs for like a month. And we finally, well, what happened was it was really crazy because we had the three players in the band, and Epic would come by and rap a little bit. But then, like, check this out. Shifty was on lockdown. He had a boot on his foot. He was in the county. He was in county for selling drugs or something. So, but check this out. He had a leave. He had time to. They let him out like for a couple of hours a day.
Oh my god.
So he would. So, but he would come right to the rehearsal. Once we
Priorities.
started getting a little tighter, and he was like rapping to this, and I'm like, so like after a couple of days, and then DJ AM came. And then the next day it was Trouble. So all the band, it was the core was just the three of us, me and Russ and Doug,
Mm.
drums, bass, and guitar. And then we had a guitar player, and then DJ AM came, scratching and stuff. Then man, after like 3 weeks, I said, man, you know what? Then I got this chill. I didn't tell you about the Uncle James chill that I would get down my back when something's about to hit big, and
Uh-huh.
it's happened to me several times in my career. The first time was when I heard the playback from the third take of the "Feel So Good" song.
Mm.
Uncle Chucky was dancing in the room. I came out of the control into to the board mixing board in the room, and he was like, "Oh my God!" throwing his hands up like, "Hallelujah! This is the track." I'm like, "What?" I didn't know. I said, "What happened?" I said, "Man, this is the track. We're not recording this anymore. This is the one.
Mm.
That's how I feel so good." Same thing kind of happened when I was with Mary Stanners that time when I played with them the first time,
Mm.
and I felt that it was time for me to be with them, and I get this like chill on my spine.
Oh wow.
Third time was with Crazy Town. The third week of rehearsal, I finally this thing came over me like wow, like I like this is it because I could feel my career kind of flashed in front of me with those two incidents before,
Mm.
like it said, oh, it's that feeling again, like
Yeah.
this is something. That's when it became like that. We played. So what we had to do was we had, I think, about 10 songs.
Mm.
We hadn't even gotten a deal at all yet. But the showcase was the deal closer.
Wow.
They said that we want you guys to put a show together for us. In a room.
Yeah.
Like, so the top executives, the president from the Sony in New York flew all the way from New York to come to Hollywood to be in that room to see
Mm.
us, okay?
Wow.
And the head of A&R in LA, who was our main guy.
Right.
And they had imagine playing the three guys, one suit, and like two other guys.
They
Three guys in one room, and it's just us.
they just rented out the whole
And
club for three people.
yeah, I mean nobody's. I mean no, it's just three men in the
Yeah.
band, and we just play the show like we're playing a show
Right. Right.
with all the energy and everything, like putting on a performance for just them.
Right.
And that's what we did. We played the show for the cat, and after that, he just said, you guys can sign on Monday.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
But I remember when I was recording the record, same time, the same day, like I recorded all my tracks. There's a couple of tracks on the album, on the Gift of Game album that Epic had used, drum machine on a few things.
Mm.
But everything else is live drums.
Right.
So I had to work with fast. I was on tour. I was in between tours with Uncle Chucky. Same time, that particular week they wanted me to come in and do my tracks. I had to rehearse with Mary Danish because we were going to do a 10th anniversary show at the now gone House of Blues in Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's long gone.
so I had to rehearse. So I said, look, I do, to save time and money. I mean, to really knock it out of the woods. Look here, you guys set up the 7 songs. This is the same thing that I didn't tell you before. It happened with Mary Danish too. The first album.
Mm.
I said, set up the 7 tracks. I'll knock them out. I'll be finished with all 7 tracks, drum parts, in 4 hours, 5 hours, 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
And I did it. I knocked it out. I knocked it out of the woods because I had to move on. So take care of business when it's fine.
I,
I did that. Bam, I'm done.
that's a valuable
Did my
lesson though, right
rehearsal.
there. That's a valuable
Yeah,
piece of information because it's like you don't know, like you don't know if you're gonna have time to come back. You don't know if you're gonna be able to go back and do it
no, you
again.
don't have time.
And
There's no
studios,
there's no
time
time.
is money,
That's
and
what
people,
budget, right?
yeah,
They got budget. If you can't, back in the '60s and '50s, they used to call it cutting the mustard. Mustard. If you can't cut the mustard, if you can't do the job,
yeah,
they get, somebody else comes in. It's,
yeah,
it's over.
right,
So I mean, I know, I knew what to do.
yeah,
I know what to do. There's no pressure, on me. Just set up the drums, put me behind the drums, turn on the music. I'm there. Bam, and I
go
just knocked it
motherfucker,
out.
hell yeah,
Right,
hell yeah,
get it done.
get it done, son.
And so I went back on tour with Uncle Chucky. First I had to play that weekend. I had to do this Saturday show at the House of Blues, which was a very memorable experience. That was our Mary Danish 10th anniversary, and it was great.
Mm.
And that was our last time we played together. Actually,
Oh, cool.
that was our last show ever. And then I went back on tour the next week with Chuck, and then. So they were calling me on the road. The management company started contacting me. Epic wanted to hear from me every day. I was really basically working the weekends with Uncle Chucky. He didn't. He was getting older too. Like we didn't tour the long time. The long like we
Yeah,
used to.
weekend warrior, man. He earned it.
Yeah, weekend warriors. We would go out for the weekend and come back and go out every weekend. We would go out.
Yeah.
So Epic was informing me as far as the negotiations of the contract, and we got a booking agent. One of the top booking agents started booking us for shows and trying to get us with certain bands to go out with, and I needed to have a tour date because at that point, I hadn't told Uncle Chucky that I was jumping off his tour. I had already been with him for almost 3 years,
Oh wow.
and at that time in my life and career, I said, I need to, you know, I wanted to stay younger.
Hmm.
And it was one of for my life, for my career, it's the best thing because it was the best thing because the older you get, I mean, if you want to stick around and be in it,
Right.
you have to reinvent yourself. You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
I stay true to myself, and I've become better. I'm better now because of my sobriety and my everything. I'm a way better singer now. I sing, and I'm playing. I know more about the technical side of music.
Yeah.
Chords and things and stuff that I never. I'm teaching now. I've been teaching.
Yeah.
Especially now. I mean, it's been almost 20 years with Crazy Town, and it's been a different life over here in Sweden. It's been a different
So
thing.
are you guys
But
still
it's been
officially a band? You guys never really broke up.
no. I was going to show you. Actually, I was going to wear my. Well, actually, I could show you.
Sure.
I'm gonna get my beanie that I was gonna wear it, but it's actually too hot to be wearing it. It's winter time here in Stockholm. It's not even there isn't any snow at all. It's really
Oh,
kind of warm. The
nice.
last 3 years it's been strange. I mean, it's not hot, but it's
Right.
not like freezing. But
Right.
it's cold. It is cold,
Right.
but maybe not. Can you see this here?
I can. I can. There you go. Crazy
That's
town.
the Crazy Town X.
The reunion.
No,
Oh.
Crazy Town X. That's the name of the band now.
Oh.
Crazy Town X.
Oh. Was
Because I
that?
think Shifty and Epic had a falling out over the name and shit, So
So
that's why we had to
so he I see he changed the name and so he could go keep using it, but I
right,
see I
keep
see
going, yeah, keep so he could keep
yeah,
working because he
keep
got
working.
kids. He got kids now, and
Yeah, you got
he almost died like
wow,
4 or 5 years ago. But he came back. He's on the right track now. I
that's
think
great,
finally,
that's
So,
great. So
but we hooked up.
go ahead.
We hooked up last year. That we did. I put that interview together with one of
Yeah,
my students here in Sweden, actually. One of my drum students, because he's young and 24, so he knows how to, do the digital thing with all the cameras and all that. And he was a fan too. A lot of kids that I met here, some kids that I taught, when I was with Crazy Town, like that I taught here maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they were like 10 years old when I was in the band, but they still remember me. So a whole new generation. I have two generations of fans in America, like
yeah,
all over the
man.
world.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so interesting about it is that you like you were saying you reinvented yourself several times over
Mm-hmm.
your career, and I think it's really interesting to that you decided to go back to younger people because and that makes sense to me because I play with younger people too because I'm almost 40 and there's a whole new generation of kids and people and I do like to talk to younger people. I do want to like play with younger people because I mean, it's nice to know what's coming next, right? Like, because usually the youth are on the pulse of what's next, and it's just part of my job is to know what's next, and you
Yeah,
obviously knew that as well.
but yeah, but I'm gonna cut you off right here.
Please
But
do.
as you're 40 years old, I'm 60. I'm
I
a couple of
understand.
years over 60.
I
The
understand.
thing is,
Uh,
especially like for me, it's about passing it on. It's
yeah.
passing it on.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially for me.
I feel that. I feel that too, man. I
And
definitely
that's
feel that.
why, right? And that's why I love,
There it is. That Yeah, yeah. Butterfly was huge when I was a teen too, Adam. That was all over TRL and
especially digitally. I mean, I lived in America 4 years, before I had a
well, at least we
computer.
got 3 hours before it started going to shit.
You there?
Yeah, you know what? You're starting to break up a bit.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? Oh, there you are. I see you now. You froze on us, and it
Okay.
was a little glitchy for a second.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Oh, I just
All right.
okay.
Yeah,
Back.
you're still
Yeah.
cutting.
So and now oh, this shit's starting again.
I see you still.
All right, now I got you.
Yeah, there you are.
Is that it? Yeah, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
Okay. So that's the thing, especially now more than ever as I'm getting older, then it's more my my oldest child is my son. He's 24. I have another son that's he was born here. He just turned 17, and he wants to he's going to start picking up the guitar. But my other son, Jordan, Larson Bradley, he's 24, and he's playing the guitar, and he wanted to play with his dad, and that was so cool when we hooked up. When he moved over here when he was 8. We saved him from LA because his mom was having problems, and he got
Mm.
into the social service system. And
Ah,
but we moved him here, when he was 8 years old. That was in 2005. So
wow.
he's 24 now. But the last 4 years ago, 5 years ago, he was in school. He picked up the guitar. He learned from watching YouTube how to play the guitar.
YouTube University, baby. Yeah.
And then he just said, you know what, I want to play with you live, because we do a lot of blues jams here. Well, before, I was working all over town here in
Yeah.
Stockholm and stuff, but we have several bands. I work with like 8 different bands, like eight
Yeah.
different type bands for like 15 years, like
Hell yeah.
local. I
How is
toured.
the
I toured.
how is the work in Stockholm? I mean, you're working, but you're I mean, you're James Bradley Jr. But
Well,
like,
it's
how
like
is work? Go
it's
ahead.
really hard. No, but see, that's a different thing.
Hey, thanks Charizard for the
Especially
sub.
being a native Black American, like I mean, it's like you had to prove yourself all over again because it's a
Wow.
different part of the world. It's just
Yeah.
like the Nordic region of the world is a slow thinking part of the world. Yeah, if they see even if they see you do something, and if it's overwhelming, then they're like shocked, and that's what happened with me. But then at the same time, when I came here, the internet in the whole world opened up at the same time.
Ah, yeah.
So now all this information, all this history is coming out.
Mhm.
The truth is coming out about me. The stories are coming out about me, and they know. But then it's after a while, like these people, they can take you for granted too. Oh, I can see him play down the street anytime. Blah blah blah. It's a different mentality. Sometimes the logic isn't so.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Yeah.
But but in order to, and the society kind of looks down on a professional musician. It's like they feel that you have to work a 9 to 5 job.
Wow, that's
Even if
interesting.
even oh yeah, it's crazy.
That's like
It's like
America too. I mean, America doesn't
yeah
appreciate their artists at all.
yeah
That's
yeah. Well, they do the same thing with their own. I
that's
mean,
so
here
strange.
Sweden. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, man. No,
It,
what's your thoughts on sort of what's going on over here in America right now with just the social unrest and
oh,
presidents
it's
and
crazy. It's like it's sick. It's sick and
yeah.
evil. That's what it is.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, 10, 12 years ago, I wanted to come back. Brother, I've had people since I've been living here for 15 years writing me mail every day. James, when you coming back? When you coming back? James, when you coming back? You coming to the Navjo? And I couldn't leave actually because I had a problem with my passport because of a child support thing. This fucking
Uh,
law that they made, which is totally stupid.
yeah.
Just this dad law. Well, right now, my son that I was paying child support for, when I came here in 2002, I came in 2002. I met
Mm.
my wife while on tour with Crazy Town in March of 2001. Second day I first day I was came to Stockholm in my life.
Mhm.
I met her, and so it was like a love at first. It was meant to be.
Wow.
So the thing is like man, I mean, you know, people, yeah. So that was before Jordan came, and my son Jordan, I was just telling you about, came here.
Yeah.
So
Do
they
you
wanted me to pay, like I didn't have to pay child. They gave me some money back, and
Wow.
but it was a 4 or 5 year thing. But they like canceled my passport. It's been canceled for 10 years, and because check this out, state of California.
Yeah.
my ex-girlfriend, who actually lost her mind, had like signed my, I don't know if she forged my name or what. I signed the, to pay for the child support, but then there was some other bill, like, they tried to get me on the arrears, arrears. You know
Okay.
what that is?
I don't.
Arrears.
I don't.
And I found out it was like because of the medical bill or nursery school bill that she had my son in.
Oh.
They tried to charge me interest for like 10, 12 years or something for it.
The fuck?
State of California, okay? Behind this
California's
damn law,
crazy.
this dead, yeah, this deadbeat law. So that's why I haven't been back
Deadbeat
to
law.
America. But I'm
Wow.
glad I didn't. You know what? I mean, now I know. Like I said, like you know me by now, and this my higher power is, takes me where I need to be,
Yeah.
and that's that I choose to call God, the universal God.
Sure.
So that's why I haven't been back.
Wow.
But I have family, and I have through the internet revolution, I have younger fans, all my old fans. Everybody found me, and they
Yeah.
we're in constant contact, all the time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wanted to go back, but there may be, but see, in the next 2 years, you know, hopefully, I mean, this virus thing is diabolically mad. And
Yeah.
I'm using that term like they do. Remember the cartoon and shit that with Simon Bar Sinister and Underdog and all that
Yeah.
shit, Superman and
This.
Kryptonite. I mean, this shit is what it is. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
No,
You
it is,
know,
man. It's.
and it's it's like that's what I'm saying. You just have to definitely let go, let God, and you know, uh, the main thing is like the most important thing is that they been separating us, try to separate us, for 300-400 years. I mean,
Hmm.
it's got to stop. You know,
Yeah.
we the people. It says we the people. We
Yeah.
the people need to come together. We the people need to come together. We need to support and love and help each other.
Yeah.
You know, especially over there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because outside, we look. I live in Europe. I'm a resident of this country, another country.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've been a resident for almost 17, 18, years now.
Hmm.
And like when I first came here after 5 years, I wanted to go come, at least come back and visit. And I wasn't able to because of that, but
Right.
I hope to do that now, and I feel that strongly that will happen.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
think that you kind of getting stuck over in Sweden? Do you think that? I mean, do you think? Well, I mean, it seems like an obvious answer, but do you think that impeded your career in any way, or I mean, because it's you were kind of you're stuck there, right? Because if you don't have your passport, you can't even really leave Sweden. So I mean,
well, I
so
can leave. I can drive. I can drive all over Europe. I can go. I
oh,
mean, I
okay.
have I have my
Ah,
residency card. So, because I've been back to
that's
Berlin.
right, because it's a
I
European
just did
Union thing. Yeah.
I just did an album there, so that's I just did an album there 3 years ago in
Oh, that's
Berlin.
cool. I mean, so during your time sort of being sequestered there, were you getting phone calls like, "Hey, man, we come on, we got
No,
to it."
no,
No.
hell no, not going back to America.
Yeah.
As many people as I know, because there's a whole new generation of them. But that,
Yeah.
so what? I mean, that's the thing too about like we need to, you know, not to forget about you know, the legends that are still amongst us that are still living
Yeah.
today. Okay,
Absolutely.
and that's what young people. I think more and more young people are starting to understand that. Though I
Yeah.
think they more than ever. Years ago, it was more like, especially with this world-threatening virus when it shut down the whole industry. Now everybody, it don't matter how much money you have or how big you are, or whatever.
Yeah.
They fixed it so they, and we have your ass now.
Dude, you know what? I
So
had this thought that I wrote down when we first started talking about, because we were talking about they, and
mhm.
and we were talking about how music has sort of been this great bonding thing for race relations, for myriads of things, right? Music has always brought people together, And
Yeah.
sort of when we were thinking, I wrote this thought down, is that they sort of took away the things that really make us who we
Right.
are. They
Exactly.
took they
Exactly. Yeah.
killed that with this virus. This, I'm not
Yeah.
calling it a
Yeah.
fake virus, but they took advantage of this time to sort of
Right.
eliminate the thing that brings people together: art and movies and music and
Damn
so
right.
so
Yeah.
so I sort of had
That's what
that
I.
thought.
That's what I said earlier to
Yeah,
you. Remember,
yeah,
I said that earlier in the
right.
interview about that. That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Exactly.
They're separating us from it, and they're taking jobs from us, and they're expecting us to just sit at home and just starve to death, I guess. But it's just it's really weird here right now, and I'm sure I'm sure that you feel a bit fortunate over there. What's the
Yeah, it's a
European?
little different. It's a little different here. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of differences here, and one of the main things here. Now, in one way, you're right. It has kind of like I still have a lot of stuff to deal with as being a black man in a country like this. But the
Yeah.
thing is, yeah, even though like people know that, like I kind of became a legend here, but I'm not being treated. I mean, in some ways, a lot of ways, I'm not being treated as such. I mean, I should be, for example, we should be set up at a club. Like the club owners, I guess it's the same all over the world. They're like, they don't feel like they have to. I mean, there's one or two clubs that try to help the musician, but there's always some clubs that are like dickheads.
Oh yeah.
Especially here, it's all about alcohol and drinking because this is
Yeah.
a high alcoholic. These people are atheists, and it's all about it's all about, no, seriously, it's all about alcoholism.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd rather come out, and if they're not really a true music lover or of a certain style, they'd
Hmm.
rather come out and drink and talk bullshit and
Yeah.
you know it's clean, even if you have top musicians playing, or they'll support a hillbilly beer band from here before they would support somebody like me. And before, they would be scared because we could be very intimidating. I mean, we put it down, we kick some ass, and
Yeah.
it was too. Sometimes it's too much. But then a lot of people, after I established myself here as a drummer, then they, I have a lot of support here. They support me. There's some women and people, guys and stuff. They don't even care who I'm playing with, whatever band I'm playing with in Sweden, whether it's funk, soul, or R&B or jazz or what. They'll come out to see me.
Yeah.
They come out and see me anyway because they know. Like I said, it is what it is. They can't take that away from me. Nobody in the world, can do
Yeah,
that.
for
So
sure, man. That's
it is what it is.
that's
Whether somebody, they're going to be jealous of me. I don't care about that. God put, I was put here on earth to do what I do. Okay.
yeah, sir.
I give myself to you, 100% with all my heart, soul, and love. You know,
Yeah, man.
you're welcome if I mean,
I,
I'm gonna keep doing what I do.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I know I do, man. So you guys are going back into lockdown. Did you play any gigs over summer? I know you guys kind of lifted
Yeah, what happened
differently.
was I was working up until the summer. I guess everybody was really working.
Yeah.
And it's the crazy thing is that I played with several jazz bands, but mostly I'm known here for playing blues, like R&B and blues, like
Mm,
real blues, like
yeah.
playing a blues band. And there's one Swedish blues rock band, a legendary Swedish blues rock band called Sky High.
Oh yeah. I think I've
Check-
heard of him.
Yeah, Klaus Engstrom, and he is like a Jimi Hendrix practitioner, historian. He's one of the I mean one of the best guitarists in Sweden, and
Nice.
he's like my big Swedish brother, and we hit it off, of course, because he knows I have studied the history of Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I was 12 years old when Jimmy died. My mother and father wouldn't let me listen to Jimi Hendrix music when he first came out.
Wow.
But I had a step uncle that was a Jimi Hendrix fan, and that's how I
And he was like,
remember.
let me show you something. Let me show you
Right? Yeah,
something.
totally. Yeah.
Stuff that you can't tell
So
your mom about.
right.
Voodoo child.
But I didn't really. But then I had to actually study his music. When I got old, like I think around the Mary's Danish days, I would like, then I would listen, like, ear train, do my little ear training sessions and listen to his music, listen to the chords. Really getting to him, getting it. That's when I was able to understand what he, how like he was from another planet type
He was,
artist.
man. He was.
You know what I mean.
He
So,
was fucking other
so
world, man. Another
you know,
dimension. Well,
yeah,
we're
totally.
we're wrapping up here, man. What
Yeah,
what's
brother.
your what's your plans for the future? Like, what? I mean, I know we're all sort of
Well,
stuck in this place, but like,
I
what's your
think
plan?
but you know what? I think I'm gonna break the news with you for the
Sure.
first time.
Uh-oh, I'm
I
ready.
haven't really. Well, how can I put it without? We're something big is in the works with the JBJ
Oh,
legacy
okay.
in the form of. I can just give you a hint, and that's all I'm going to say about it. In the form of a film documentary
Oh, wow.
from yeah, another company in America, actually, right now. We just started getting information together and stuff right now. The last 2 weeks, I got hit with a proposal to do something like that with
Wow.
somebody. So
Well, that's
that's like
cool.
the biggest thing. Yeah, and I'm God willing and with God's grace, it's gonna happen because it's gonna be a year and a half, well, 1 year and a half, or maybe 2 years before it's done and out. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the plan right now.
Right
But
on.
I'm also going to be releasing. I have some music. Oh, every we have a lot of people that listen to Spotify. Uh, there's one album that I have. I have a group too that I put together, a modern rock group in the style of Foo Fighters and Lenny Kravitz,
Oh, cool.
called called Kill Your Darlings
Kill your
with a
dog.
Z. Kill Your Darlings,
All right.
and we have an album on Spotify. It's been there for 5 or 6 years, but you guys go on and check it out. Download the songs. Like, I know this. I can guarantee you there's at least one or two songs that you would love, and then download it. Download the songs and check. Kill Your Darlings. It's modern rock. I'm singing background, co-lead vocals. The one song is called "Mary Goes Around." I recommend "Mary Goes Around" and "The Walls." Those are my two favorite. There's the one song that's getting picked up in some other countries called "Wild Child." It's a ballad, but it's no drums. It's amazing. You guys check it out. I
Oh,
want you to
man.
play it on your station too.
There it is. There it is. Mary. Okay. Well, it's a live version, so I think we'll be able to play it without getting pulled. So I'll let this play in the
Live
background.
version.
It looks like it's a
Wait,
live version. Kill Your Darlings. Mary Goes Around live. All
I
right.
don't hear it.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna hear it, man. It's in the background.
I heard some.
Yeah,
I
there's
heard
some. You
something
can
just
hear
now.
a little bit out of these shitty speakers, but it's. But yeah, man. Well, I really
But
go ahead, please.
that's on Spotify. You go on Spotify. Go on Spotify.
It's on Spotify.
Check it out.
I'll make sure I leave a link in the chat, and when this comes out on audio, I'll make sure that yeah. And if there's a song you want me to play on the audio release, I'd be happy to play it. If you have like any original music or any music that or these guys, I don't mind throwing them on there if they're not.
I want to make the announcement that I'm releasing my first solo single. I'm
Nice.
singing. It's called, and the name of the song is called "People Wake Up, Come Together." You need to hear this. It's a
Okay.
total blues, country blues, gospel song, and the words. I think you would love it. I think you would
I'm
love it.
down. I'm totally down. Please keep me in touch, or
So
let's stay in touch.
yeah, no,
Let's.
no, no. As soon as I have to actually I have a mixing session. I haven't done the final mix yet.
Oh,
But
okay. Well,
as soon
when
as
it's
I'm done
ready,
with it,
man, let
I'm
me
gonna send
know.
it.
Yeah, please do
Yeah,
send
I'm
it
gonna
over,
send you a
and
copy, brother. And
I will throw it
let you
on a
play.
podcast release for sure. Any, even if it's not your podcast release, because I'll put music on the top of the show. So no problem, man. Just send it over. But okay, James
Okay.
Bradley Jr., thank you
All right,
so
brother.
much for your time. I mean, you were so generous with us with your time and your stories. I sincerely
Uh,
appreciate it. thank you so much, James. You have a wonderful rest of your night. I know it's late for you now, so you get some rest,
Yeah,
sir.
it's 12 o'clock, but I'm gonna play one game of NBA 2K,
That's
and
right. I forgot.
I don't have I have a private lesson to teach tomorrow, but my son isn't here tonight, so I can chill with my wife.
It's time to
And
party.
I want to say to everybody, I want to tell everybody I love you, and thanks for listening in, and God bless you all, and then everybody come together, come
Yes.
together.
I'm gonna. And Adam Fleur
We're all
says,
the
"You the
same.
man." Adam Fleur says, "You the man." JBJ.
Who
And they
who's
said
that? Who?
Adam Flair UK. He's actually an amazing musician too.
Okay, all right.
He's out of the UK, and he does like throwback '80s type funk. Like in the
All
vein
right.
of like Prince or something like that. Like like in
Okay.
that kind of vein. It's really dope. I don't know if you ever heard of Chromeo, but like it's something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Adam
heard it.
Flair is the shit. Adam Flair's the shit. I fucking love Adam's
All
music.
right.
But yeah, man, I appreciate it. And Mr. Bradley, thank you, sir. And I'm reading the chat. And amazing
All
interview.
right, brother.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. And everybody's happy that you're here. So thank you so much, James. You have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will be in touch
Yeah, brother.
soon.
Well, my evening's over. It's gonna be the next day already. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Your more enjoy your
Merry
morning.
Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. Good, I gotta say in Swedish, Merry Christmas. Good you,
Good,
good you,
good you.
good you.
Good you. Good you. Good
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
All
good
right, bro.
you.
You have a
All right,
great and wonderful evening or morning, I should
all
say.
right, brother.
All
Oh
right,
yeah, we'll be in touch, man.
for
Thank you
sure.
so much.
Not a
We'll be in
problem.
touch. All right.
Peace. All right, guys. I have to pee so bad, so I'm not gonna raid. That was long. I that was awesome, but I have to pee so bad. So I love you guys. I don't. I gotta pee, bro. I'm bouncing. I'm bouncing. There's no raid today. I'm sorry. I gotta pee so bad that I